Lasted how long?
9 years, 180 episodes.
You gave it up, right?
I did. So.
They didn't cancel you. You canceled them.
You're not aware of this?
No, I'm asking you.
You think I got canceled? Are you under the impression that I got canceled?
Have I hurt you, Jerry?
I thought that was pretty well documented.
Is this still
CNN?
Don't most shows go down a little?
Most people do also. But, yeah, no, I went off the air. I was the #1 show on television, Larry. Do you know who I am?
Jewish guy, Brooklyn.
Yes.
Okay.
75 million viewers last episode.
Wait, don't take it so bad.
Well, that's a big difference between being canceled and being #1.
Okay, I'm sorry. We'll be right back.
Jeez.
B-movie opens. B-movie
opens. Can we get a resume in here for me?
B-movie opens tomorrow.
Go over?
Hey, we'll be right back.
We have a box here of frosted strawberry flavor Pop-Tarts. We're going to scrape the frosting off and eat it 1960s style because we're gathered around today to talk about the Jerry Seinfeld film Unfrosted. Yay! And
it's not even a franchise, Ben. It's not even a fucking franchise.
Now, is it a franchise? No, not technically, but it is this one of 2 movies Jerry Seinfeld, billionaire, comedian, quote-unquote comedian, and creator of one of the greatest sitcoms of all time. You have to,
co-creator.
Very, more and more apparent each day that he's the co-creator. One of the 2 movies that Jerry Seinfeld thought, I'm going to put some time and some money and some effort into this. Unfrosted and B-movie. And this one's worse, I think, right?
Profoundly.
Somehow. I don't know how, but it's somehow worse than B-movie.
Yeah, it is.
B-movie has the structure of a movie, so...
There's a weird structure from what I remember.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But there are lots of jokes, too.
Yeah.
And some of them are funny.
Some of them are funny.
Like the B. Larry King bit is actually really funny. I'll defend that.
I feel like with B-movie, it kind of at least got some notes from DreamWorks.
Yeah.
At least some.
Right.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but a little. But this was just... Ted Sarandos being like, go make whatever. Make what's funny to you, Jerry.
Yeah.
And we got this.
We had to cancel the David Lynch Netflix thing, but we're going to give Jerry Seinfeld probably $50 million. Probably.
Yeah.
Is that a fair guess?
Who knows?
The amount of cameos in this movie, probably, yeah.
Did he write B-movie?
He is one of several writers.
With the same Seinfeld writers who did this movie.
Yeah, this Spike Ferretzen guy, right?
Yeah.
He's one of them, yeah.
Wow. 4 of the most untalented writers behind this movie.
Well, I remember when B-movie was coming out and he did that that big stunt at, was it a Cannes or something, I think, where he's in the bee suit and he goes down a zip line Jerry,
I remember that.
And I think people were like, really? This is your big post Seinfeld project, But that just seems so much cooler now, having seen Unfrosted. And think about, I don't know, I guess, you both probably have takes, I would imagine.
Yeah.
We should introduce who the
Yeah, we have Gwen and Valerie.
Hi.
Hello.
Valerie Keaton.
Yes.
And Gwen, I don't know.
Oh, whatever. I don't give a shit.
Just Gwen.
Gwen last name.
Just Gwen last name.
Yeah, Gwen last name.
Gwen classified.
And Gwen, you suggested this.
I messaged you.
Fuck you, Gwen.
I was drunk with friend of the show, Catherine.
No
and
way.
I said to her, I want to pitch this to Ben.
No way.
And
I think we both had ideas of doing something about this movie.
yeah, because we've been following the production of this since they announced it.
Yes.
I've been obsessed with this movie, and we were saying when it first came out, we were like, this could be good. I said that this isn't an inherently bad idea. And then as more was revealed, as they revealed that Sarah Cooper is in it, as they revealed that Sebastian Maniscalco was in it, as they revealed that all of the Jerry Seinfeld extended universe people were all in it.
Yes.
And when we saw the trailer was when I knew this movie was going to be fucking terrible because I was like, this is going to be a down-to-earth comedy. I was imagining something close to Blackberry.
Yes, but
sure.
I did read something about a year ago that did start to concern me when he was like, this movie's going to be it's a mad, 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 mad world. And I was like, well, that sucks. So this will suck.
Yeah, and it should be. He should have made it like 3 hours long. Too,
Yeah.
like, that movie. Yeah.
Well, the premise of Mad World, I think it's been proven that it works because of Rat Race,
That's fair. Yeah.
Right.
a masterpiece.
Yeah, of course. Well,
Yeah.
and a lot funnier than this movie. So okay. So you've been charting the progress of the movie.
Yeah.
I've
been rewatching Community Cars Getting Coffee.
Yes.
Reading all the press junket stuff Jerry's done for this movie.
Yes.
Yes. I have been watching season 5 of Seinfeld.
Okay.
Good.
And it is very good.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very funny. And despite all of the really intense negativity that I think Jerry specifically radiates, not just like politically speaking, we can talk about that.
Yes.
But literally, like on the press tour for this movie, is just like a miserable guy. He's like
Truly.
a very, like he has a lot of like anger, and he seems depressed. And every anytime he has a microphone in his face, he's just like a morose, miserable man. And you can tell when you watch the movie. I think definitely.
Yeah.
I guess my kind of idea of it was like this is the second big project that he's worked on. Okay, third if you count Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee.
Which I do.
Which you
incidentally.
should, which you should, because it's not just like a car ad. It's like a genuine talk show, and that he put a lot of time and money into.
He also
Shockingly, a lot of time.
Yeah,
He also edited each episode with his specific funny moments. Every moment in that show is something he found hilarious.
yeah,
Like, he said he cut everything that wasn't funny.
Yes.
yeah.
And I've seen most of Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. That is not true.
Yes.
Yeah, it can't be true. It's like the third big thing he did.
Yes.
Okay, and he's got infinite time and infinite resources and infinite power to create whatever he wants. And this is what he decided to make, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, out of all things, you know. And I agree with you, Gwen, that like it's not necessarily a bad idea. Like I sometimes I don't like the product movies.
Yeah, they're all bad
Yeah.
except Blackberry.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. They are actually all bad. And it's funny that like this
People
one
love
is,
Barbie.
Yeah, people like Barbie. This one feels closest to like Air. Did you ever see Air?
I never saw.
I never
Air.
saw Air, thank God.
No.
That was the
Yeah.
that was the Nike one.
Nike. Yes.
Yeah, and they're pretty much the same movie, except that Air is like not trying to make you laugh and doesn't have that kind of desperation to like.
It's like a drama.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's very light and it's funny.
It's like an inspirational drama that they would
It's-
play
yeah.
in like a high school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in like a young conservative like business class where they're
Yeah.
like, look,
Yeah.
like the American dream, like it's real, you know?
Yeah.
So I guess it's kind of along that. But yeah, Alex and I watched it yesterday.
Yeah. As
Yeah.
long as we're talking about, our backgrounds with this movie,
Yeah. I am eating a sandwich, sorry.
I'd been living my life like obliviously, peaceful, unaware of this movie's existence up until about like
I'm sorry.
3 weeks ago, where Ben was like, "Hey, I want to record a bonus episode about Unfrosted," and I was like, "What the hell is Unfrosted?" He's like, "It's a new Jerry Seinfeld movie. It's not a franchise or anything. I just think it'll be funny." And the truth is, I'll get this out of the way immediately. I've never been a big Seinfeld guy.
Okay.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
When it was on in the 90s and stuff, like I'd watch it on TV and be like, that was great. That was digestible, but I never like really latched onto it. I was more of a Simpsons or cartoons in general boy.
Nice.
Yep.
I was a Curb fellow. I really loved Curb Your Enthusiasm. I do think that the last great season of Curb Your Enthusiasm was season 8, where Larry absconds to New York.
Mm-hmm.
And I think since then I've tried watching it, and it's just like it feels too much like old man yelling at cloud or sky or whatever. Like
He ran out of things to get angry about? Or?
yeah, like at the best of Curb, you're like, yeah, this is an angry old guy, but you're also like, hey, you know what? He does bring up some like interesting points about like, societal norms or just like things people do that are kind of BS.
Yeah.
Now, more recently, I'm watching it and it's just the old man yelling at the cloud,
Okay.
That's interesting because I actually never watched past season 8. Like, I don't know why, but from the trailers, I was just like,
Yeah.
I don't want to test this.
It's different.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think if you do end up watching it, like, let me know.
Okay.
Because that's kind of how I feel about it. But yeah, so I was living, in peaceful ignorance. And I honestly told Ben, I was like, I don't know if I want to watch or record this. I was like, I'll lend you all the equipment and show you how to use it. But then, it's a long weekend and I've got nothing going on. So
Yeah, I was
like-
going to say, like, tell them the truth that you didn't have anything else to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
So, yeah.
Just so it's on the record.
But you know what? Like, I will say, Gwen, I'm kind of glad I watched this because I think it's rare to see something like this. Is one of the like cringiest, most miserable comedies I'd seen in a while.
Yes.
And earlier this year, I watched Ricky Stenicki, which we talked
Okay.
about on the pod. And as, lowbrow and bottom of the barrel as that was, this kind of beats it out, which is kind of amazing to me, because it is this huge pedigree comedy. Like, that's a John Cena movie. Like, this is...
Right. And a Fairley brother, one of the Fairley Brothers movies, isn't it?
Yeah, it's one of them, yeah.
Right.
It's like how the Coen brothers broke up. The
Yeah.
Fairleys also
Yeah.
broke up. And
Yeah.
I
Come back.
I have like when we were watching the movie, I turned to Valerie and I said, "This is going to be like entirely that bit." You guys have seen the Oliver Stone The Doors movie?
I actually haven't.
Yeah,
Okay,
a long time ago.
so
but
it's entirely going to be that one bit where they play "Light My Fire" and they're figuring out "Light My Fire" and it's like do 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 and they're like we don't know what to play there and then
Oh,
do
yeah.
do and they kind of figure it out and then it ends with like do 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 like you like "Light My Fire."
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you're supposed to be like in awe of the kind of like prescience of this.
Yeah.
Right,
That's
right.
that's like half of the jokes in
Yes.
this movie is that exact thing where like someone says the space program will never fucking work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of that.
that has a Tang to it. Tang, that's a good name. That's
yeah,
a Tang.
yeah.
That also
Yeah.
happens in Bohemian Rhapsody when the guy just comes up with that
Well, yeah.
bump on the spot.
Yeah, and they have
they're
the
like,
whole
"Play
Mike
that again."
Myers scene,
Yeah.
right? Where he's like, no one will ever
Headbang to
headbang to
this.
this. Yeah, yeah. Or like there's that the Brian Wilson movie where it's half Paul Dano, half John Cusack. There's a scene in the recording studio where he's I don't remember which, but they're doing
Love
pet
and Mercy.
sounds. Yeah, it's Love and Mercy, and somebody walks by with a drum, and young Paul Dano, Brian Wilson taps on the drum and goes bum 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 bum. And you're like, oh, that's it's
Okay, I should see this.
flowing out of that's actually not a bad movie.
That's more
Interesting.
forgivable
Okay.
I
in
like
like a
that
music.
movie.
Not a bad movie.
That's
Okay.
more forgivable in like a music biopic.
Yeah,
Because
Yeah.
like a music biopic, these are like iconic songs.
yeah.
This is about a
celebrating
Pop-Tart.
genius.
A Pop-Tart.
Yeah.
And-
Yeah, not
but-
corporate
But,
genius.
but
yeah.
not only that, not only does it do the biopic tropes, it just has like it has like the Animal House thing where like they just shoot into like the parade float of JFK. It
Yeah.
has like they're like, well, the milkman did it,
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
the like, well, college costs $200. How could anyone ever pay that? And
Yeah.
all this bullshit.
I said the moment we saw the milkman, I'm gonna say they're gonna imply these guys killed Kennedy. I said that.
There you go.
Yeah.
Like, I was just immediately like, that's the joke they're going
Yeah.
for here. It
Yeah.
makes too much sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. There for a bit before the movie started, but after I had agreed to watch it.
Okay. Yes.
I was kind of working myself up like and I should say also before the overwhelmingly negative reviews came out, I was thinking like, okay, obviously it's one of the product movies, and yes, it is like the probably the most similar to Air, that kind of thing, where it's like these people are geniuses, like corporate America like has all these great ideas, and they have your best interest at heart, and like Serial's great. Blah blah blah. I was thinking it'd be half that and half like a Abrams Zucker kind of
Yeah.
thing, because it looked like just in the trailer and whatever that there were a lot of gags, like a gag a minute or whatever, and there are a lot of gags. It's just that they're all really bad.
lame.
Yeah,
There's like almost no slapstick in this movie, and that actually
No.
really
No.
shocked me.
Yeah.
No,
Very
It's
little.
almost all verbal comedy,
Yeah.
except the ending, which is the January 6th with the mask on.
Yeah.
yeah,
Hilarious.
Yeah.
There's that.
Well,
I actually forgot.
yeah. There was an interview with Jason Alexander. I think it was for like the Television Academy once, where he mentioned this, and it makes a lot more sense now. Where none of the like visual comedy of Seinfeld was ever like written down. It was always had to be staged by like Michael Richards, Jason, Julia,
okay.
Jerry. So he never had a brain for like making physical slapstick things ever.
Clearly,
Yeah.
it just doesn't seem like he has a visual sensibility at all. Really,
No.
coming with this movie.
It looks like vomit the entire movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was
expensive
one-
vomit.
It looks
One of the-
it looks
Oh, yeah.
it looks like, to use a scene from the film, it looks like cow shit. the
Yeah.
entire fucking time.
Yeah.
And Ben pointed out, like, it's shot so pristinely with just like 8K, 20K cameras.
Yeah,
That you
then
can
the
really-
Netflix Sheen and whatever.
Yes.
yeah.
You really see how old everyone is in this
Yeah.
movie. Like,
'Cause, yeah, one of the first things Alex said yesterday was like,
Jim
I think it was,
Gaffigan.
yeah, the first time
Yeah.
you see Jim Gaffigan,
I was like, oh my God, Jim
he
Gaffigan.
looks really old.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cameras, the Netflix thing, the like very bright, even flat lighting. Like it's just like there's nothing to hide. Like every crevice, especially on Jerry, and especially on Jim. Yeah.
Yes.
But,
Yeah.
And Jim Gaffigan, not given, I mean, no one's really given much to do, but he felt especially criminally underutilized, especially because one of his lines or bits was one of the few like chuckles I had. I can't
yeah.
remember what it was to save my life, but it was a Jim Gaffigan moment that gave me.
I wrote
Ben wrote
something
down
down.
every moment he laughed,
I
which for Ben's list would be quite long because Ben was a bit stoned.
Well, yeah.
And-
Listen, I had the day off, and I like
You were
I
smoking
said,
some left-handers?
Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, okay. This is, my notes are write drunk, edit sober. Right? Hemingway said that, of course. Yeah.
Yes.
And now I don't understand what any of this means. But cookies and cream flavor are good. That's because we had Pop-Tarts.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a note about the actual product Pop-Tarts.
Yeah.
We do have Pop-Tarts here. If anyone would like to eat them,
I do.
Yeah.
I will say it's in the idea of having a cookies and cream Pop-Tart for breakfast is insane because it's literally just a giant Oreo.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
They are very sugary.
Pop-Tarts are also just in general not very good.
No.
I don't think anyone born after 1970 would regard that as like their favorite.
I mean maybe I don't know. There's a picture in my head of like an 80s kid or even like the 90s kid that we belong
I had
to.
Pop-Tarts in the 90s.
Yeah, they're like Pop-Tarts, Sunny D, like
tried
Fruit by the
Yeah.
Foot, like and all that. But that's also just that's just an invention of commercials too, right?
Yeah.
But
think-
Pop-Tarts I never like really vibed with as a kid,
Yeah.
I love Fruit by the Foot. I thought Fruit by
Yep.
the Foot, I remember eating Fruit by the Foot.
Oh yeah, of course.
Like I don't remember eating Pop-Tarts.
I actually do remember, now that we're talking about the cookies and cream Pop-Tarts, I remember when I was like 7 or 8, my parents just gave me those, and my parents are health nuts, but they just like, I don't know, didn't care about giving me healthy foods. But then I found Go-Gurt, and I was just obsessed with Go-Gurt. That was my
Go-Gurt
favorite.
rocks,
like
too.
I think like it's really funny this movie because I compared it when we were watching it. I was like, this is like the opposite of My Winnipeg. This may be the most insane comparison. It's like
I mean,
there's-
most movies are the opposite.
but this
of
is
My
like,
Winnipeg.
but like My Winnipeg is like ironically deconstructive about nostalgia, and it's kind of about like the
Okay,
sad
yeah.
tragedy of it. This movie, there's no irony about Pop-Tarts whatsoever. Jerry just loves cereal.
Yeah, he loves cereal seemingly more than anything,
Yes.
more than his wife and kids. The first thing I wrote down is a quote. I don't know where. I don't even remember writing this down or where I found it, but there are quote marks on it, which means it's something Jerry
Okay.
said. If it wasn't for Jess and the kids, I'd really blow my brains out. Jessica saved my life. She gave me something to care about. So I must have read that on some interview.
Yes.
But like without his wife and kids, I mean, or without Pop-Tarts or without breakfast cereal, I think he would have killed himself long ago,
He does seem very miserable in such a specific way. Like he
Yeah.
talks like he talks as if he's not allowed to have joy himself. He's like a very aesthetic person.
Yes,
Like
yes.
we watched this one interview of Jerry where he was talking about like how much he loves transcendental meditation, and he was like, "Look at your bed. Your bed is disgusting. Who would rest in a bed? You can't get." You can only get true rest through transcendental meditation.
Jesus.
He also like in that interview talks about how he's been getting into stoicism. He's been reading Marcus Aurelius, like every like dumb 20-year-old
As
man,
a 70-year-old man.
like every like guy who reads
funny.
who watches like MRA TikTok has bought a copy of the Meditations.
Well, Meditations is kind of having a moment right now because of the holdovers. It's
Oh, it was the
featured
holdovers.
prominently in the holdovers. Yeah. So I saw that video of like on the press tour for this, where it's like Jerry Seinfeld, and it's like, what are your essential things like in your bag or whatever? And he pulls out a copy of Meditations.
That's so
And,
funny.
and you know,
Oh,
and
no.
his like espressos and his whatever. And he's so obsessed with products and name brand like, you know, whatever, Pop-Tarts or Junior Mints, or he just, I think his idea is just that they are funny.
And there's no irony
Just in
to
and
it.
of themselves.
Yeah.
There is no irony because
thought
he
it'd be more
genuinely
like-
loves these things.
satirical, but it's not. It's
No.
like it's kind of presented almost like it's gonna be satirical, but then it's just like a love letter to these brands
Yeah.
and these corporations.
Yeah.
It's actually a very sincere movie, which a lot of the times in a movie that is kind of inherently cynical, like these advertising movies, some sincerity might actually benefit it.
Like
But
the
no,
Lego
not-
movie.
Not here.
I think like
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
could compare it to like the Barbie movie for a second,
Right.
which is maybe an insane comparison.
No,
The Barbie
no, that
movie
makes
has
sense.
this like there's like Greta Gerwig is fundamentally a smarter person than Jerry Seinfeld, and also
Yeah.
she has like the token kind of isn't Barbie kind of sexist moments in the film, and that is like obviously a marketing thing to be like, oh, we're aware of our company's history of making children become anorexics, but we're like moving past that. Not really, but we're going to acknowledge
we're at least going to try to sell you on the idea that we're moving past it.
Yeah.
So you can feel good about the movie.
yeah, whereas like there's none of that here.
Well, what could it have been? Like these sugary treats are being sold to kids for breakfast, and that's fucked up. Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
They kind of joke about that a little bit, where there's like
They
the stuff
do.
about the health food, and there's
Yeah.
the stuff about like corn fructose in it.
Yeah.
But like, there's no like reckoning with any of that. There's no like
None.
maybe corporate
None.
America has cannibalized the childhoods of us all here. Maybe the fact that our entire fantasy lives and Jerry's fantasy life entirely consists of children's marketing says something about society. I don't know.
there's that really indulgent moment where they all treat themselves to their favorite cereal bowls.
Yeah.
Like,
And there's
Yeah.
like a
thing.
set to what's the song? I'm forgetting already.
I forget the song too.
It's the one that's also in 10 Things I Hate About You.
Something in the Sky,
Yeah.
Spirit in the
No,
Sky.
yeah,
is
Spirit in the Sky is the other one, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah, and
there's
the
also one that's
giant
the da da
cereal.
da 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 whatever that song is called.
Oh yeah. The no, I know.
I know that
what you mean.
exclusively from
Yeah.
10 Things I Hate About You.
Oh yeah, I love you,
Yeah,
baby.
baby.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the giant like cereal dispenser machines. You know,
There's multiple musical montages in this film, which is very
Yes.
late Seinfeld.
Mm.
Because Valerie and I have a theory that if Seinfeld went a couple of years longer, people would like periodize Seinfeld as like season 1 through 7 as like the golden years,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everything after post Larry David.
It's basically
leaving.
the Scully years.
Yeah, it's
basically.
like Scully Simpsons, but people don't recognize it as that because it didn't continue on its zombie form. And late Seinfeld loves musical montages.
My Baby Takes the Morning Train.
Yeah.
is one.
Oh,
Downtown, yeah.
right. Okay,
Downtown.
okay.
That's
okay.
actually really funny though. That bit, in my opinion. But
Yeah.
Well, some of the hardest laughs I had were during the credits, where everyone is dancing. You know, like
Oh,
that
yes.
kind of
Yeah.
like comedy.
So
like,
lame.
let's all, yeah. It's like this like. Every movie is kind of like the Minions or like Trolls World Tour, where everyone just has to dance at the end or whatever. And it's funny seeing all these, you know. And Alex, you were like, oh, I guess just when they had whoever on set, they were like, all right, just record them dancing, and that'll be for the end montage. But there's at least one or maybe two shots where you see Jerry kind of dancing, and it made me laugh. Just like, you know, like this isn't what he should be doing, you know.
Well, I also mentioned while we were watching it, like, I haven't seen a movie pull that card, you know, the dancing during the credits, that actually, it's always in like a bad movie that makes me angry, because I'm like, you mean, you just made me sit through a drag, and now you're like being like, we had so much fun making this, you know? Whereas it's like, I actually don't recall seeing a movie that I found genuinely fun or infectious for that credit sequence to, like, you know, bolster me up or anything. Like,
Slumdog Millionaire.
I haven't seen
You love
Slumdog.
Slumdog.
I haven't seen Slumdog Millionaire in a really long time.
Imagine if Paul Thomas Anderson did that at the end of every movie.
At
Oh,
the
yeah.
end of
Well,
There
that
Will
would be
Be
great.
Blood, that would
Yeah.
have been incredible. You
Yeah,
know?
The Master.
yeah, the Master. If
So
they
sick.
ended with like them all dancing, out.
Yeah.
Those are one
Bloopers
problem.
during Licorice Pizza. That would be fun.
Yeah,
I
the
mean,
bloo-
that actually
the
that
bloo-
would kind of make he could actually pull that
The
off.
blooper
I
reel
think
is kind of
so.
a throwback in of itself,
Yeah.
though. Like I associate that with like shitty kids movies from the 2000s.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
this a blooper reel is not. You know, this is
There-
dance moments.
there weren't
It's
really
like-
any good bloopers. Yeah,
Yeah, they were just people saying "fuck."
yeah.
That was it.
Just little flubs.
Yeah. But yeah, like that kind of ending it with that. I know we're jumping all over, but that's how you have to process something like this.
Well, the movie doesn't have a plot, so
No,
it isn't
no.
possible to go narrative with this.
They
Yeah.
they do something about a rivalry between Kellogg's and Post, but the stakes are never really important or defined.
Yeah,
The subplot with Hugh Grant.
Hugh Grant is so like Hugh Grant. I feel bad for Hugh Grant, and like there's like a couple other like British actors like that who are like cast as like the sophisticated British guy in films who are like actually very talented. Who was the fucking guy who was in Saltburn? Who was the dad in Saltburn?
Oh, Richard E. Grant.
Yeah, Richard E. Grant.
Yeah, all the Grants.
The British Grants are just misused in American cinema.
Yeah.
And like they're always cast as like, oh, he's the sophisticated to give it this kind of like Shakespearean sheen.
Yeah.
And then he's playing this one note character.
Yeah.
The interesting thing, I feel like the character is expanded once they got Hugh Grant, because in the press tour, one of the things in the press tour is he constantly talks about like, wow, Hugh Grant, he's so cool. He has like weird gender envy to Hugh Grant. He's like, wow, he has such broad shoulders. I wish I had broad shoulders like Hugh Grant.
Interesting.
That's actually great.
Hugh Grant was like, coming up during the 90s when like Seinfeld was going
I guess
on, maybe.
I mean, yeah, he was like kind of the English heartthrob around the same time.
Maybe
right?
he's been Jerry's man crush for a long time.
Yeah, could have been.
Like
yeah.
30 years now.
He's like, Jerry's like, one of these days I'm gonna
fuck Hugh Grant. I'm gonna get inside that British asshole.
No, but he was talking in the interview. He was also saying like, oh, well, they don't make Hollywood stars like that anymore. They don't make like he's an old school gentleman. He's like James Bond.
Right.
He's like,
with all the good and the bad that comes with that.
Like
he's so nostalgia pilled, Jerry Seinfeld. Like he just
because
lives in the past.
he is a fundamentally empty, anxious individual.
Yes.
I think his day to day walking around, you could just like be pleased with yourself and rest on your laurels and like have a great kind of headspace. But no, like he some people do transcendental meditation like David Lynch, Russell Brand. No, like no,
he would have given up on that now that he's a Catholic.
Yeah.
Right.
But no, so I think some people do it genuinely for all sorts of reasons, like the reasons you would meditate for creativity or for inner peace. But other people do it because they have to. And Jerry seems like he's
Other
like,
people do it because they're spiritual fascists, and
Yeah.
Jerry Seinfeld is one of those people.
Yes.
He's obsessed with order.
Exactly.
He's obsessed with consistency. He's obsessed with like inner control.
Yeah.
To slightly psychoanalyze Jerry for a little bit.
I think that's all we should be doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in like the interview of Marin, he talks about like how he was like basically given neglect only as a child, but he also like had like a happy childhood where he said his parents were perfect, and also his father's stories of World War II were all like that was basically fun, like camp, and so he has this weird view of life where everything terrible is actually good because it's terrible.
He was like, the worst
Right.
thing you can do to your kids is be nice to them. And he said his parents were neglectful, and that was the best thing for him.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. That's
It's healthy.
yeah, it's healthy. It's a healthy boomer kind of mindset,
It's really like staring into the crevice of all of the boomer id, looking into Jerry.
Kind of is. Well, like, as a non-Seinfeld fanatic, I'd love
Okay.
to like hear about all of your experiences with Seinfeld in general, like the show and what it means to you individually.
Okay. So I got into Seinfeld probably when I was like 8, 9, 10, somewhere in that age, because it was a show that like my parents liked a lot in the 90s. I was born in like 99, so it was just on in reruns constantly on like all the cable shows.
Right.
And then because I like do some comedy, and that was my thing as a teenager. I was like a big comedy nerd, so I just like went straight into Seinfeld and just like learned everything about it, and just found it really cool, like how like Larry David like would like doing almost what he did in Curb with like the way that stories would weave into each other in and out and stuff like that. I found that really brilliant, and just like so it was just like a cornerstone show for me that just like meant a lot to me. Yeah,
Sort of similar for me. I remember my parents showed me Seinfeld probably when I was like 8, 9, around then. I watched like seasons 1 and 2 of Seinfeld like religiously, which is weird because like some of the season 1 episodes are actually not very good.
They're weird. Yeah.
The pilot is like terrible. Like it's genuinely awful.
Yeah.
So like I as a child was like exclusively for a while. The first sitcom I was ever shown by my parents was the Andy Griffith Show on DVD. This was we had like season 1 on DVD. And then at some point it segued into exclusively watching Seinfeld and Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah.
Everybody Loves Raymond is terrible, and I have so many thoughts on it, though. Because my parents still watch it. Like, I come home and
like old reruns.
they
like
watch it on
DVDs?
reruns on I think
Yeah.
CMT plays it, so they're watching it constantly, and it's like a fascinating like psychodrama of Italian American life. It's darker than The Sopranos, if you ask me.
Interesting.
I think that's probably true. Yeah, yeah.
Stay tuned for the franchise spin-off series about the Everybody Loves Raymond.
I did used to watch a lot of Everybody Loves Raymond because it was after The Simpsons on a certain channel.
Yeah, I would be the Alex in that situation where I was definitely on a lot, but I don't think I ever really paid much attention to it.
I've
He
actually
does have a
never.
funny voice, yeah.
I've never seen an episode of Everybody Loves Raymond.
You got
actually.
it.
All right, well, we'll come back.
He did it.
That'll be the next
He
one.
did a
we'll do,
film,
yeah.
Ray Romano, like a couple of years ago.
The Irishman.
Yeah.
No, he directed a film.
Yeah, he directed The Irishman. Yeah.
He was also. I remember.
He did
When-
direct a movie. You're right.
Yeah.
What was it?
I remember one time I was with my grandma, and she every day would watch the Ellen show. And one time, Ray Romano was on and was talking about being cast on the HBO Martin Scorsese show Vinyl,
Oh.
and was like, "Yeah, Martin Scorsese. He had no idea who I was because he doesn't watch television."
Two
you
great
imagine?
Italian American artists of
Two
like
of the greatest.
understanders of masculinity. I think if you watch like Everybody Loves Raymond as the level,
But you're selling me on it as good.
it's
but not-
horrible.
is it
It's
not?
horrible. There's a two-parter episode where they go to Italy. And it's, I think, some of
I
the
remember
like
that.
most painful television I've ever seen. It revolves around like Robert.
Falls in love or something.
Yeah, Robert
right?
falls in love. Ray gets sick and he can't eat pizza. Or something like
I
that. And then the
remember
episode
that.
ends with this like spiritual moment of transcendence where he finally gets to eat a slice of Italian pizza. And he like realizes that he loves Italy.
That sounds pretty
great.
funny.
It's
though.
it's so weird.
Yeah, I don't know. That sounds
It's also like not because the show is a multi-cam sitcom like Seinfeld. And then when they did this one, it's like shot like a movie.
right.
And it's so fucking
They
weird.
actually go to
They
Italy,
go to Italy.
just like The Sopranos.
It was kind of like it
It's
gave
better than Sopranos.
Phil Rosenwald the idea to one day do a show where he goes around
Yes.
eating food everywhere.
I tried watching that when I was stoned, and I was like, I hate this man.
Unwatchable.
Unwatchable, truly unwatchable.
I gotta watch that documentary that he did about trying to make a Russian version of Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah. There are some television writers where it's like they have a personality for being a writer.
You're right.
Yeah.
Just
right.
like they belong behind the computer screen.
He was insufferable. I think the show is called Somebody Feed Phil.
Yep.
Too, which is
Yeah.
like a
yeah,
ridiculous
right,
name.
Yeah.
right.
Anyway, what's
I,
your experience with Seinfeld, Ben?
Yeah, so similar, right? Like I guess similarly, family would have got me into it. But when I was old enough to kind of or whatever watch TV or be in the same room as adults watching TV, my grandma's second husband Steve was a huge Seinfeld guy, and I think part of that was like he was Jewish and he like loved Jewish comedians specifically. And I don't think he necessarily loved like Jerry Seinfeld as a comedian, but he thought and he and my grandma always called it Seinfeld. So like, and for years I called it Seinfeld because I was like, that's how it's pronounced. Like my grandpa, he's a genius. Like he wouldn't mispronounce the show.
That's kind of my my Italian Canadian. I was Italian American because of thinking about my Italian Canadian family. My nonno, who didn't speak much English, was obsessed with Everybody Loves Raymond. It's probably for like similar,
Yeah,
like
totally.
like ethnic solidarity reasons.
Yeah.
Were there
Eventually.
as a child when you were watching as a child? Like,
Yeah.
were there any episodes that were banned?
That I was like not.
Yeah, that you were not allowed
watch.
to watch. Like, because I remember.
Hey, this is Ben here. We had some audio issues in this part of the episode. Gwen says the episode The Mango as the one she was not allowed to watch growing up.
Like, you cannot watch this.
The contest, the sponge.
Yeah, the
for me.
contest.
Yeah,
the one with Spongeworthy.
When I would have first been watching them, I was young enough that I don't think that it would have gone over my head.
Okay.
That like the sponge-worthy thing, I don't think I would have understood. And like I master my own domain, like the contest, like I probably didn't get it.
It's probably just incomprehensible.
I wanted to open it up to you three now that we've established this.
Okay.
Do you think that Jerry was carried by the supporting cast and Larry David on the show?
Oh well, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, like it's very tempting and very easy to like dismiss his contributions because he is such a miserable asshole, like of late,
Yeah.
but he's obviously a huge part of the show and a part of the. And I like okay, Jerry's not an actor in the same way that the other three are. He's not Larry David.
Yeah,
but he's a talent. He's talented and he's very funny in the show.
He's very good as the straight man in the show.
The sort of structural component of the writing is entirely Larry David.
Yeah.
Like Larry David has an extremely good sense of fate.
Yes.
In everything he writes. And I think that quality is something that carries over even when Larry David leaves the show.
Yeah.
You get that sense that everything is in its right place. These people are going to yearn and they will fail.
Yeah.
And they'll all like collapse together again. Versus Jerry does not have that, and Jerry would admit to that he doesn't have a sense of structure.
Right.
He would talk about writing the show in terms of writing individual back and forth.
Recently, in when on the press tour, when he talked about how early on in the show, Larry always had an idea for how to do story and would write the outlines, and Jerry would kind of help, but outlines bored him, stories bored him. He cared more about the dialogue than about story.
Right.
Which is funny thinking about Unfrosted.
Yes.
Well, yeah, that's one of the other main kind of threads of why this movie is so upsetting, disappointing, vomit-inducing. Is that like, and I know you're both experts on this as well. That like a big part of Jerry's lore or like self myth making or whatever is that he's the comedian's comedian and he spends so much time on crafting the joke. It's all about crafting the joke word by word until it is like absolutely 100% perfect.
I can't
so
believe
then
that.
why is this script like
Yes,
this,
no,
right?
exactly.
Like,
Yeah, he claims that he writes 2 hours every single day.
right.
And they spent, and he said that they wrote the script over 2 years of COVID.
2 years.
Yeah. Nothing to do.
But this has like strong like first draft energy.
Yes,
Yeah,
every joke
yeah, oh,
was
yeah.
like the
Yeah.
first joke that they thought of.
Yeah.
Like everything.
You can predict most of the jokes if you're watching it.
And it has that really lame thing that we spoke about, Ben, where the gag is like someone says something awkward and then they take another 15 seconds to acknowledge that awkwardness.
Yes.
Like that was
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
weird that he
Yeah.
said that.
That's
And
a
that just
thing.
that doubles the
Right.
length of a bad joke, you know? Like
Yeah.
it just makes
Yeah.
you sit in it for longer.
Also, I have a theory that they did not have enough material. Like, and they realized this
Right.
as they were editing it. And that's why you have the dance scene.
Right. Right.
Because like the movie is, if you factor out the dance scene and you factor out some of the padding, it's probably like 75 minutes long.
Yeah.
It is a lot. It is shorter than I thought. Actually.
I was really
Yeah.
shocked because like the credits go for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a movie where like it's so wild how like every single scene kind of goes on too long. Like the Cronkite impression was like the worst thing in the movie.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was terrible. Okay, so
It was the same joke 3 times.
The Walter Cronkite bit is so indicative of like this type of humor that I think falls really flat. Where it's like it's just an impression. He does the impression, and then when the camera's cut, he does this kind of like my fucking wife, or this
But
like
also
So
the My
miserable.
Fucking Wife with like a children's toy.
yeah, right, or yeah, he's doing some bit, and it's it's
But it's also like, why take the piss out of Walter? Like, who even knows who Walter Cronkite? Like, who's
Yeah.
like, ha, take that, Walter Cronkite?
I don't know.
But it's also not deconstructive. It's not
No.
like
No, not at
it's
all.
not like about America.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just, wouldn't it be funny if Walter Cronkite
Was
played
an
with
alcoholic
children's toys?
that was abusive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was honestly, and there were several instances where it just felt like the first idea, but like not even really fleshed out. You know, because like you said, the idea of like a really morose newsman after they call cut, like doing like that could be funny.
yeah.
The same way I pointed out when we were watching the scene where the milkmen take Jerry to the barn, and then it's Peter Dinklage and they're intimidating him, and then they like ostensibly torture him by making him walk through an alley of cows.
Right.
And they cut to black as like Jerry's about to start walking
actually
down,
fades out.
fades to black.
Yeah.
And it's like, why not show Jerry get like a few cow farts in his face?
But,
like,
Yeah,
why?
they have a whole lineup of CGI cows.
CGI
It's
cows.
ugly. It looks horrible.
Yeah, it's a Boschian vision, and it's disgusting.
But also, like,
and
a psychotic gang that's like about defending the honor of milk is like a funny joke in principle.
Yeah.
it's like the it feels like that feels more like Coen Brothers.
yeah,
Kinda,
and
but-
and they could have been there could have been some joke there, because I have always, and ever since I was a kid, I did always kind of find the like "Got Milk" slogan to be a little bit like aggressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Milkmen are funny.
It's not a-
Inherently
yeah.
funny.
It's inherently funny.
It is funny. Milk is funny. Milkmen are funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have affairs with the wives.
They father children out of wedlock. Yeah, it's a funny thing. Yeah, but yeah, that's a great example of like they set up a joke. It's a dumb joke. It's the bottom of the barrel. But like, why not follow through with it? Why not have Jerry Seinfeld running, holding his nose?
Yeah.
running through the rows
that
of
would've
cows,
been
and,
so
all the,
good.
and you could
That'd
have
be
the
funny.
cows farting on him, right?
And maybe gets like some flecks of brown stuff on
Yeah,
his face.
whatever,
Yeah.
something,
Flecks of shit.
right?
Yeah.
But then it just fades out, and it cuts to him being like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I was so expecting when they showed that scene of him in the shower just alone. I wish they showed him like covered with shit.
Anything.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah." Why
That'd be good.
and why not? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Debase
know-
yourself, Jerry.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. He's already debasing. I wish he was comfortable debasing himself in the way that was funny
Yeah.
instead of the way that is sad, which
Yes.
is making the movie.
Yeah.
But
God.
I don't know.
speaking of CGI
yeah.
dairy-related things, in the cemetery scene, the funeral scene, where there's a bunch of
Right.
cereal mascots, and the Steve Schwinn blew up
Yeah.
or something
Yes.
like that.
Yes.
Yes.
Spoilers for the audience
Sorry.
at home.
Yeah,
Apologies.
spoilers. Yeah.
Were they pouring CGI milk onto the coffin? It looked kind of fake.
I mean, probably.
I will admit to laughing.
I
that
laughed at
scene.
that.
Yeah. Like,
Well, yeah.
they-
that.
They should have I think they never commit to jokes in this movie, and that's the problem. Like, if that joke ran longer, it would
Yeah.
have been funny. Like,
Yeah.
it needed to be like they are just going all the way with this.
Yeah,
But they
I-
never commit to anything in this
Yeah.
movie. Like, even when there
Exactly.
are ideas that are like funny.
The only thing they committed to was having 2 security guards.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
right,
that's the joke
right.
at the end. With the
Yeah.
callback.
No, there's okay. There's a short list of things I may have laughed at.
Okay.
And may have,
Okay.
because my memory is hazy, and so is Alex's. So he can't call me on
I
it.
was stone cold sober.
I know you were.
You laughed a lot.
Okay, but I have to be clear that I was laughing not at the jokes because they were funny, but like,
At the idea of the jokes.
at the idea of the jokes. Yeah.
So that's ironically like the Ricky Gervais thing about sitting on a cock because I'm gay.
Well,
What you're doing right here.
Yeah, unfortunately, yes.
Is, you're
Yeah.
laughing at the. I'm not laughing at the joke. I'm laughing at the lameness of it.
This is one of several ways I will reveal in this episode how I am similar to Ricky Gervais. Are you offended? Yeah, I can do it. I can be Ricky.
Folks at home, you don't know this. Ben is actually British.
Yeah. I actually am British. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The first time I laughed,
Okay.
I laughed at Jim Gaffigan's ass when he's on the ass rolling machine.
Oh, yeah, that, yeah.
I don't know. It's just
Jim
I-
Gaffigan's ass.
I laughed at Jim Gaffigan's ass, and everyone looks so old. Sarah Cooper, Trump lip sync comedian.
Also, there isn't. Sarah Cooper doesn't do a joke in
Yeah.
this movie.
No, she
It's
no.
a very strange role.
It's very strange that I guess Jerry was just like, like so many boomers was like, that's funny. Like,
Yeah.
she's funny. Get her on the movie, and they gave her no jokes.
I'm not complaining because she isn't funny.
She's
like,
not-
the movie
yeah.
would be worse probably if she had a joke. But
Yeah.
it's notable that they don't give her a joke because
No,
functionally
she's-
everyone else has a joke in this movie.
She's like the secretary, I
Yeah.
guess. I don't know. Yeah.
You could write her out in probably 5 minutes of thought.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Now this is specific to my life, so you can't call me on it because this is part of my own experience of working at a hotel. When they do a gag where it's like, oh, the cereal awards or some dumb shit, right? And it's like live from the recently renovated, and then they say the name of the hotel. And I laughed at that because I work at a hotel that is going to be renovated soon, and I just chuckled in recognition of something
Yeah.
from my own life. Yeah,
That was a case of IYK, YK.
yes, yeah. I did know You know. Yeah, I knew.
I did know I knew.
Andy Daly as the Quaker. I just laughed when I saw him.
That was
Not
nice to see him.
Yeah.
That was a good role.
When you see who else?
Well, that was a big type of joke in this movie. Was
Look
like,
at this.
remember this person?
Yeah.
And yes,
Yeah.
I smiled when I saw Thomas Lennon.
Yeah.
I smiled when I saw Bill Burr.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who actually is?
Bill Burr is pretty good in the
Yeah.
movie.
Not bad. Yeah.
I think the JFK scene is probably like the funniest scene in the movie.
Same, because it seems like he
Yeah.
fully improvised
there are
the scene.
There are two
Yeah.
jokes I laughed at in that scene.
Well,
which is like,
well, let's talk about that because
Yeah.
I was going to bring that up too. The JFK jokes are very like easy jokes, right? But I guess they're delivered at least with a bit of gusto. Like Bill Burr has some energy to him, right? So that when he says the like. Ask not, like
Yeah.
it's not like
Yeah.
terrible, I laughed.
versus Dean Norris's Khrushchev, which is the worst scene in the movie. Maybe.
yeah, terrible.
Is Dean Norris in that?
It's Dean Norris,
Yeah, it was Dean Norris,
Jesus
yeah.
Christ.
And Maria Baklova is the
Borat
assistant
Jr.
to Khrushchev, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, where that's like no jokes, right?
No jokes.
And no energy, like sleepy.
Wasn't it Crumplins or something?
They. They,
Yeah.
Oh, and Count Vodkula.
Yeah.
Because Russians drink
Get it.
vodka.
That's
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
But that's one where they could be like, well, the joke is that it's lame.
Well, and then two of the other cereals, the
Right.
discontinued cereals,
Yeah.
Wilt Chamber Flakes
Oh, yes.
And Grannios? or
and
something?
Grandma's Holes.
Grandma's holes. Yeah, and I pointed out to Ben, we were watching it, and I was like, they just had two. Like they just stopped
Yeah.
at two, and they
Yeah,
were like,
two
these
jokes.
are our
I
best
I said
two.
that. I pointed
Yeah.
out, like, when we were watching it, I was like, this feels like it should have gone on for longer. Like, did they have more ideas? Did they just run out of?
Like those were the best two, and they only had two. It was kind of it's easy to come up with stupid cereal names. Like throw a bunch
Yeah.
at the wall and see what sticks.
Well, it's not like it's just Jerry who sat down at it, typewriter, and like wrote the movie. It's like him and his three other
Cronies.
cronies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The-
there's like a writer's room
Yeah.
atmosphere, presumably.
The late Seinfeld writers were all there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there has to be some sort of back and forth and like sticky notes on the wall
Yeah.
and some sort of thing, right?
They just had an impasse with those ones and saved them all for Crumlins and Vodkula
Crumlins.
and all of those.
They came from the same
like the
brainstorming
Kremlin. I get it.
session.
I get it.
Even
Yeah.
like the format of like they had the one with Will Chamberlain, just like shitty 60s celebrity cereal. That's like the easiest joke in the world to write.
Yeah.
Or the other joke they do is Jackie O's.
Jackie O's.
Jackie
yes.
O's.
Kind of funny.
Yeah.
It's right there. Maybe they were like, that's too obvious.
Is
Let's
that a
go with
Simpsons
Wilt
joke?
Chamber Flakes.
Maybe I'm just-
Maybe it is. I
Maybe it
don't know.
is. I don't know. Yeah, and then you have to cross-reference everything with, is it a Simpsons joke?
Yeah.
You know?
I want to shout out Bill Burr. Also made me laugh.
Oh, yeah,
There's like
yeah.
a quick line before they cut away from him where he was like, "I'm very handy on boats. I was sickly as a child, so they got me a dinghy."
I laughed at that. We both laughed. Was that the hardest? There was one time where we both genuinely laughed. Was
hardest
that the time?
Maybe.
That might have been the time.
I really liked his. Yeah, you draw worse than Lil John John.
yeah. Something's not right with that kid.
What was the joke I laughed at?
So stupid.
The Taft one.
No, it wasn't the Taft one. There was one. I think I did laugh at the cereal funeral.
Oh yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a surreal scene.
Yeah, it was a surreal scene.
Why is the movie sort of surreal, but not like it? I thought it was gonna be a realistic movie because, like, the pro of Seinfeld is funny in part because it's a grounded show.
Right.
You watch most other sitcoms that came out in the '80s before Seinfeld, and they're so like fanciful and stupid. And,
Yeah.
Well, no, they're not all. There's a lot of very
Yeah.
good sitcoms, obviously, before Seinfeld. But like most of the ones that were really popular are like shitty, dumb, derivative, have like these deeply conservative intuitions about how the world should function, about how you should
Cough, the Andy Griffith Show.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah, like one must reconcile with the father and and Seinfeld was a breath of fresh air, obviously in a lot of ways. Obviously, there were shows like Taxi or whatever before that were like grounded in realistic sitcoms. But Seinfeld was like probably one of the most popular shows of that format, and it also got on around the same time. Like a couple of years later, you have stuff like Clerks and all that. Like suddenly, there's all of this in '90s kind of filmmaking that's all about like people having conversations.
Yeah.
And that is
Coffee
the
and cigarettes.
that is what
Yeah.
people like about Seinfeld.
Yeah.
So why are the two films that Jerry Seinfeld has made so like fanciful and stupid, but they don't commit to it? like enough for it to be like, this is insane expressionist bullshit.
Yeah.
Which I would like
Right.
if it was like a Tom Green production, I would like get behind that. But so you just have like the verbal wit in inverted quotes, but none of the like realism that's
like
in Seinfeld.
Yeah, like it's like the thing where they're like, the kid spelled ass. That's gonna go in his permanent record. Good luck finding a job now.
I think that's the worst
Yeah.
joke in the movie.
Yeah.
Probably.
This was a joke you laughed at early on. Was the joke with them like, Post is really getting at us now. They gave me diabetes.
That was the best joke in the
Yeah.
movie. That was the best joke in the movie.
I
Wait,
was
who
like,
says that again?
Jim Gaffigan.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm thinking of something like the whole thing where it's a kid gets kind of knocked silly and he's looking at the board where they're brainstorming and he's like, oh, call it Trat Pop.
Yeah.
Pop-Tart backwards.
Right.
And I'm like, was that meant to be a joke? Is that a joke? Like, is that funny that it's Pop-Tart backwards, or is this a true part of the story? You know, like
Also, like,
Well, it's all true.
what's really weird about the movie is like
all
the
did
actual
happen.
history of cereal is so fascinating and weird and
I bet it is.
weirdly
Yeah, we saw it on the movie.
psychosexual.
Yeah.
No, but like you
Yeah,
have like
yeah. Have you seen Unfrosted?
you have like Harvey Kellogg creating
Yes.
cornflakes as a way to stop
Anti-masturbation.
people from masturbating
Yeah.
and all this shit. And,
And
like
by the way, it does work. It does work. But the issue is, and I think that Kellogg himself never really understood, is that it's not just a bowl a day. You have to eat a box a day. You have to eat a full family-sized box a day, and you will never ever
think
touch yourself.
it'll just
God.
kill your drive to.
No sex drive.
Amazing.
I think you'll also kill yourself from a lot
Yeah.
of food.
Yeah,
That's the goal.
You should not. By the way, you should not eat a full box of
Yeah.
anything.
Also, like
cereals,
the hack that John Kellogg didn't anticipate is that people have sugar in their house and you sprinkle it.
That's
on top.
right.
yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Not to mention all sorts of other vices. I'm sure he was flipping in his grave. You know.
Like that's an interesting story. Like
Well,
the
yeah,
story
that-
of American like
Yeah.
food, like the development of cereal, and I'm sure there's equally fucked up things that happened in reality with regards to Pop-Tarts.
Yeah.
But none of that's there because Jerry instead wants to like have Chef Boyardee be a character.
Yeah. Ugh.
And
Brutal.
like the Nazi jokes in the movie also
Yes.
are literally just they do the Dr. Strangelove thing.
Yes.
That's literally it.
Yes. Yeah. A playful kind of winking, like I might be a Nazi, but I won't actually say it. Sort
Where
of
were you
thing.
during the
Yeah.
40s?
And in real life, like that, Oscar von whatever guy is like a really interesting, terrifying guy.
Yeah.
That you could make a very
A joke around him.
well, you could make even a funny movie if you wanted to about the fact that the German guy who came to the States who invented X-ray specs and sea monkeys is also like a white supremacist.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you could make some farcical, satirical movie off that if you wanted to.
I honestly think, like, even if you gave, like, Tom Lennon this character and was like, okay, go on Comedy Bang Bang with this character.
Yeah,
he would
sure,
make
sure.
something better there. Than
100%.
this.
But it's literally
Definitely.
just the Dr.
Yeah.
Strangelove joke. That's the only thing they come up with.
Yeah,
really.
that's all it is. Yeah. Yeah.
Also, I did want to add, I looked at the sugar content of the pastries, and God, is it John Kellogg as the creator? What was his name?
No, John Harvey Kellogg was like the creator of like the Kellogg's brand, and then his brother usurped him, and he was the one who was pro putting sugar in things. See, fascinating story.
Yeah, see, that's
Well, who's the anti-sugar one?
John Harvey Kellogg.
Well,
Yeah.
John Harvey Kellogg will be sad that Pop-Tarts now have 31 grams of sugar in 2 pastries.
Not even that
Wow.
good. Like,
Yeah.
not even that good.
I
no,
have-
they're not. They're not good.
quick little aside. At my office, they stock up on like snacks for lunch and whatnot, and there's
Yeah.
a bunch of like instant noodle cups, and there's a large Mr. Noodle cup of spicy noodles,
Yeah.
and it has, I shit you not, 103% of your daily sodium intake
Yeah,
in
yeah.
one thing.
Yep.
And I'm like, how is that legal?
Yeah,
right? Like,
that's crazy.
It has over 100% of all the sodium you should have in one day in one fucking noodle cup.
But I think that's convenient, right? Because if you just have that and nothing else,
If
then
you
you're
if you have a
fine.
sodium deficiency,
yeah, yeah.
It's like those like shitty like protein bars
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
that people make meal replacement, but just for sodium and literally nothing else.
I said I was writing down all the things I laughed, but it's mostly just incoherent. It's just the scribblings you find on the wall of an insane asylum, just like make it stop, you know.
Free me.
What's the deal with this joke? It's just like
Yeah,
writing.
yeah. Yeah, Tony the Tiger, QAnon Shaman.
Oh God.
I think so. Okay, there's a lot of contenders for what's the worst joke.
That might be it.
That whole general thing might be it. Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
that's not inherently a bad idea. Like
No,
a cereal
but-
mascot strike,
Yeah.
destroying the Kellogg's building.
But that's again the problem we keep returning to is that like that isn't a bad idea, but Jerry doesn't have anything to say about it or do with it.
Or like
Yeah.
he doesn't even let it really play out. They just give up once
Yeah.
it's been stamped. Like if they destroyed the building and they played it for another 5 minutes of just that would be funny.
If they killed someone or
Yeah,
something.
I
it's
was-
like-
When the guy got shot.
Okay, yeah.
But then they fucking the lamest bit in the movie is the guy gets shot when they're in the Dominican Republic.
yes.
Right.
And then it
Buster.
reveals that it was just a puppet that was shot. Fuck that. The worst line in the movie is, comedy is very important. That the sugar mobster says.
Oh, yeah,
But
yeah.
like
Dangerous.
the reveal that the guy didn't actually die. Like imagine if it was just you saw the guy's body lying there in the ground
With a
as they
Colombian
walked
necktie or something.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
by. That would have been really funny.
Do you think? Well, do you think Jerry thinks that comedy he'll be killed for this movie, like how the puppet was for that?
Well, I was thinking while I was watching it, I was like, because I know he's kind of been more anti-woke recently.
Yeah.
And I was
Yes.
like, is this like parody of Jan 6? Does he think he's like, oh, this is really going to ruffle their feathers? You know, like it was just weird.
I don't think so. That was the one like anti-woke joke or whatever was the
hobo,
homeless thing.
Homeless
Yeah.
thing.
Where
They want to be called bums now. That
yeah,
was the
he
line.
calls
Yeah.
somebody a hobo, and then Jimmy Gaffigan says they want to be called bums now. Yeah, which is really dumb.
Yeah.
I mean,
It doesn't even make sense.
No, it
Yeah.
doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
No. And so one of the things Jerry's been on about the past couple of years, and definitely in this press cycle, is like, oh, comedy is canceled now because of woke and whatever. You can't be funny anymore. A lot of comedians and boomers like him are like that, But that tied into, again, recently, like his, I guess his like very public support of Israel, and through him and his wife and their donations and things like that. And he, press photo ops where he goes and meets the IDF and he's, standing with a bunch of beautiful IDF girls in front of the fucking like tank or some shit. It just makes it all more sour.
Yeah.
I guess.
I was like, this is funny a month ago. Like when I pitched this, I was like, this will be really funny.
Yeah.
Because like this will be a terrible movie. It's gonna be awful. But there's a chance we like it and defend it. And I really wanted to. I wanted to be
I
like.
wanted to.
I wanted to be
I
like.
think B movie is funny.
I really wanted to be like Jerry is just projecting extremely bad vibes because of his noxious personality, noxious politics.
Yeah.
I wanted to just be like, actually, the movie itself isn't that bad. It is that bad.
It is. It is.
It is like very like I'm curious like in his id because he feels this responsibility in comedy to not be personal in like any way.
Right.
So I'm curious what if he was to do comedy of like a more personal avenue of like a Louis or like a Bill Maher or something like that.
Yeah.
His views would be so abhorrent.
Yeah.
I know
Apparently.
it.
Oh, definitely. If he were to all of a sudden, start telling like Louis style jokes about his kids or about, like his dick or whatever,
Yeah.
or like being,
Yeah.
out of shape, like middle-aged guy, it would reveal, it would only further clarify like just how out of touch he is.
Yeah.
Not just like in the way that a regular like rich celebrity is, but in like a profoundly like disturbing way.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to show you,
no.
I have something here.
Here it comes.
This is a first edition copy of sign language.
Yes.
Yeah. Jerry Seinfeld's sign language. One of several books he's
One of the
written.
many like tie-in type books.
Yeah, and this came
Was
out.
that a collection of? That was one of the joke collections.
I think this is mostly just jokes and bits and observations.
He did do very recently a book that was probably 2 or 3 years ago. It was called "Is This Anything?" and it was like every joke he had done from like 1970 to like 2010 in the single.
Yeah. Right, and then he has like a children's book too, right? Yeah, like Jerry Seinfeld's Halloween or something.
Imagine
I
reading
read that was like a 12-year-old.
That's like deep. Imagine like showing it to like a 4-year-old. Imagine like this is Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah, well, it's about time you were acquainted with Jerry Seinfeld.
Well, that's like the classic like bullshit celebrity children's book thing. Like that's a trope for a reason.
What was his kid's Halloween book like?
It was basically like it was very much like, you know, in like George Lopez, how it's like the adult him head on the small kid.
Okay.
Yeah,
It was kind of like that.
Like Bobby's World.
Kinda, and we're just going to like and it was like his like bits about Halloween and candy and stuff, where he was just
that classic stand-up bit that he does about candy.
Yeah, and just like him, just drawings of a mini him going up to houses in like a witch costume or whatever, being like, "Can I have candy, please?" That's all I remember of it.
It's great.
But he does have the like stand-up bit that was on Seinfeld where he's like, when you're a kid, all you value is getting candy.
Right.
Which is like funny as like, I remember being a child. And then you think about it and you realize Jerry Seinfeld is just mentally a child still. So he is just thinking about candy, Superman.
Yeah. Well, in the dust jacket of the book,
Okay.
it says it's just like a list of all of like the topics of Jerry.
Okay.
So it says sign language, exhaust pipe, ice cream, parakeet, haircuts, chalk outline guy, cleavage and shoes, Superman, BO, urine samples, big bread, Pop-Tarts. There you go.
The seeds were planted.
It was all there.
Wedding safety. I don't know, some bullshit.
How much did you pay for this book? I need to know.
I don't know 100%, but I think because I'm trying to open it and also.
Are you going to read us an excerpt
Yeah, maybe I should.
from the book of Seinfeld?
The sign language.
I think I got this from like a free library.
Oh, okay.
Do you know
perfect.
what I mean?
Yeah. I was like, this is like $2 at BMV. Cool.
Yeah. But even better, possibly it's free.
I love going to the film and TV section at used bookstores because it's like academic books, and then right next to it, it's like celebrity biographies that no one will ever buy.
Yeah.
There's a book that obsesses me at the Young Eglinton BMV, where there's it's a copy of the essays and memoir of one of Larry David's daughters.
Oh yeah.
The one who dated Pete
Cassie,
Davidson?
right?
Yeah, the one.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
really
Yeah, I
bad.
heard
We
it's
make
really
kind of
bad.
like a ritual of like reading excerpts from it whenever we go there.
Yeah.
'Cause is it just like her like life's little foibles,
Yeah.
Basically,
observations,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
of
None of
being,
them are
like,
particularly interesting.
also very out of touch. I would imagine.
Very
Yeah.
out of touch and stuff. Like, I'm more like my dad. My sister's more like our mom. They got divorced. I can't get divorced from my sister.
Which, like, it's one thing to be like an antisocial 70-year-old man. Like, that's like,
yeah, but-
well, if you're like 20 and you're like already like, this is my life, I hate you all, fuck life.
Yeah, and like just do nepotism in a different, more financially lucrative way.
Yeah,
Yes.
or like in an interesting way. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
inherently anti-nepotism. You just have to be kind of talented.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Didn't one of Paul McCartney's kids become like a fashion brand person or something like that?
That's really funny.
I don't know.
Paolo Gucci.
All I know is there's the one McCartney kid who like looks like his dad, but his like head is he just has a bigger head.
He looks older than his dad.
But the
Nice.
same faces, the same size of face as Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
Not a stretched, not a big
I think we
head.
need to talk about the celebrity cameos in the movie.
We do.
Oh my
Briefly,
God.
I'm going to read. From
If
the
you read
book,
that, yes,
yeah.
please. But I have some thoughts.
But yeah, let's see here. This is from Sign Language. This is the section, the male code.
Oh no.
All plans between men are tentative. If one man should suddenly have an opportunity to pursue a woman, it's like these two guys never met each other in life. This is the male code. And it doesn't matter how important the arrangements are. Most of the time, they scrub a space shuttle mission. It's because one of the astronauts met someone. He's leaning against the rocket talking to her. So listen, when I get back, what do you say we get together for some tang? Tang. See?
It's all connected.
It's all connected. Yeah.
He's still recycling 90s bits.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you.
I think
Thank you.
like
I tried to.
that's also like a great like Jerry Seinfeld. Like the thing that's really funny about Jerry is he's always like, I don't want to do easy jokes, and like half of his jokes are like men are like this, women are like this.
Yeah,
Men hunt and women nest, so men change the channel and women watch the show.
Yeah.
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 Like it's that tier of comedy.
I was flipping through the book earlier, and there were several times
Because men flip and women look at pages.
Yeah. Well, just going by, and it's like different topics, and every single thing starts the same. Where it was like lawyers, and then the first line was literally, "What's the deal with lawyers?" and then I was looking at it, and it's like grocery shopping, and he's like, why do I have to grocery shop? I'm a guy. I don't want to go grocery shopping, Anyway.
Also, I did want to say I looked it up, and Paul McCartney's daughter Stella makes active wear for Adidas.
Oh,
wow,
cool.
super
Hey, well,
cool.
there you go.
So it's really like has there been an Adidas film yet?
Not yet.
Inevitable.
Oh, there will
One
be.
day.
And there will be
Every
someone
brand,
portraying Kanye West in that movie.
Oh no!
Yes.
Oh no!
He's part of the lore now.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But I think like to talk about the celebrity cameos
Yes,
in this movie because
yes.
there's a whole
There's
lot
so
of them.
many.
I want to talk
Yeah, let me
about
pull this
the
up here.
person I hate the most in this movie, and that is Sebastian Maniscalco.
Oh, yes.
because
Who
the
is
important.
that?
This is
Pause. Let's talk about Sebastian Maniscalco.
so Sebastian Maniscalco. Valerie and I hate him.
Okay.
So
Which one was he?
he's the guy. He was like the security guy that has like the very affected Italian American accent.
Okay.
Well, very
sure.
affected
Show you the
Italian
picture.
American is the style of Sebastian Maniscalco's comedy.
Understood.
I'll show
Yes,
you.
yes. This guy.
This
He was also in The Irishman.
He's in The Irishman
Yes.
and Green Book. Two of the
guy?
greatest movies.
Of course.
And so the thing with Sebastian Maniscalco is he does comedy where he's he's one of those comedians that tours at theaters and he just walks around the stage being like, what is this? What is that? And in 2019.
What is that? Sounds pretty good.
That's funny. Yeah, this guy knows funny.
In 2019,
Sebastian?
he hosted the MTV VMAs.
Whoa.
And he was like, it was in New Jersey for context. He was like, New Jersey's better than California where I live. Because, in California you got those bird scooters.
I don't know. I think it sounds funny.
The
to me.
worst joke in this set is he says, in California, we have all these influencers. There's only one influencer in New Jersey, the boss.
Nice,
Springsteen.
So we get this crowd of probably 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
Go teenagers going to the MTV Music Awards, and they're being hectored by this middle-aged Italian man telling them that they need to listen to Bruce Springsteen.
They're
Yeah.
like, who's the boss?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have to agree.
Yeah.
I don't want to sound out of touch here, but I mean.
But yeah, so we hate him.
Oh, and I just want to say one more thing about the MTV VMAs hosted by Sebastian Maniscalco. he ends his speech by being like, I was told by management that around every area there's a safe space if you get offended, so you can go in there and feel good in your bubble.
It's really funny. It's one thing to be an anti-safe space comic if you're edgy.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
right.
still annoying and noxious. When Bill Maher does it, it sucks. I
Yeah.
hate him. But
Yeah.
if someone is actually doing really risque material, I am more willing to be okay. But
Sure.
if you're doing women are like this, men are like this jokes,
Yeah.
and you're oh, someone has to go to their fucking safe space. It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
no.
It
Yeah.
is. It's the Are You Offended? Ricky Gervais. Who's the other guy with the big head? Jimmy.
Jimmy Carr.
Jimmy
Jimmy
Carr.
Carr.
Yeah, that same thing where it's am I allowed to say this? And then he'll say something really tame.
Yeah.
With that has a bit of an edgelord kind
Yeah.
of vibe to it. And you're like, okay.
I feel like Jimmy
okay.
Carr's thing is different though, because he's just one-liners, right?
Yeah.
He's not
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know.
Gwen, do your impression of Jimmy Carr.
I don't. I have the Jimmy Carr laugh down.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
which is-
Well,
I would
I'd
love
like
to
to
hear
goes,
this.
Yeah, that's right.
It's
that's
really
right.
good.
Yeah.
There's a YouTube video. There's a YouTube video of him on some Britain has Britain worships comedians in a way that I don't think we understand fundamentally.
yes,
so
all
they
the-
have all
all
these
the
chat
chat
shows
shows,
that
yeah,
they're on.
insane,
So there's this
yeah.
chat show that he's on where someone they record him going ha 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 ha, and then they doing an electronic remix of
Oh,
it.
yeah.
And that's actually really funny.
That does
Yeah.
sound good.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Oh.
speaking of the cameos of this movie, this is a veritable who's who of all the big names in comedy.
Yes.
And they
Yes.
don't do anything.
Yes.
They're
Yes.
given no funny
Well,
material.
I mean, even the leads Melissa McCarthy, Amy Schumer, nothing.
Nothing.
They have nothing to do.
Yeah, like Amy Schumer is like shockingly like and Melissa McCarthy. The movie does she get jokes in this movie? Really?
No,
Not really.
the closest she gets to jokes are like because she's the one woman
Yeah.
in like the male-dominated environment. Someone will say something sexist and she'll say, "Oh well, actually, blah blah blah,"
Yeah.
and there'll be a beat. It'll hang there for a second, and then that'll be that.
And she's just kind of mean to Max Greenfield, who I think
But
is
Amy
really.
Schumer is mean to Max Greenfield. Yeah,
I think he's proven he's funny on like New Girl and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
yeah,
but
he's
just
funny.
He's like shockingly poorly used in this film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
underutilized.
Yeah.
That's like the
The-
main
yeah.
problem.
I should say too
The John Hamm cameo also is the other
um,
key.
Oh yeah, right. Well, okay, we have to talk about that.
Yeah.
So, so much of the movie is like is kind of like a Oppenheimer kind of riff. Like we're assembling the team,
Yeah.
But I know there's other movies that are similar to that.
It would be funnier if they played it more like a parody of Oppenheimer,
Yeah.
but about
They-
Pop Tarts and
They
called
also
it Oppenheimer.
They also literally do the They literally do the parody that every movie that is like a parody of like a space race movie does. And they
Right.
do the like they're walking slowly
Yes.
down and like they like subvert
right
it.
stuff.
But it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they do the right stuff walk.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
has been a joke in literally every single.
Yeah.
Like there's the Community episode does that like exact joke.
The
It's like
Simpsons
way funnier.
season 5. they
We
do
literally
it.
just
Yeah.
watched that Simpsons episode, the one Space
Yeah.
Homer.
It's great.
And it's really funny, and
It's
it does
really
a good thing with
funny.
it. This
Yeah.
like because you watch it, and you go, they're gonna do that joke.
Yeah.
Like you see the milk conspiracy, and you're like, they're gonna kill JFK.
Yeah.
You see that, and you're like, every single beat can be predicted. I think
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you're paying attention.
Who haven't we? Bill Burr. Oh, okay. Well, my least favorite cameo, and maybe this is a hot take.
Okay.
Maybe this is just me being sensitive or whatever. But I thought Dan Levy as Andy Warhol was bad.
terrible.
Not so much anything to do with whatever Dan Levy was doing because it's a very small role. But I thought the idea that so they're like Pop Tart, that's like pop art, like Andy Warhol, and okay, whatever. And then they have Andy Warhol come in and like try to
It's like
assassinate.
a Valerie Solonyas.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I like I'm very interested in that whole thing. Like I shot Andy Warhol thing and like the factory and like I like Andy Warhol. Not like I like him a normal amount.
Also,
not in like a weird
the,
way.
The way
I
he's
don't
played-
think his art is necessarily that great, and Valerie Solanas and like I'm interested in that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Just so to see it be kind of like haha, but like that's not funny. You know what I mean?
But also
Yeah.
the
I'm
way
not trying to be too like, they shouldn't be allowed
Yeah.
to make fun of that. But like, he got shot and it like profoundly affected his life.
Yeah.
It, like, ruined his
think,
life.
like-
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I think like also the fact that Dan Levy just plays Andy Warhol as a gay man, like that's
Yeah.
the joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The joke because Dan Levy is gay, so
Yeah.
the joke is that Andy Warhol is a gay man, so we're gonna have him be kind of like iffy,
Yeah, right.
which
right.
doesn't work.
No.
Also, because it's like if you've seen Andy Warhol talk, it's not like
Well,
that.
it's not. It's that Andy Warhol is like a very famous persona that,
Yeah.
that you have to do at least some
But
version of.
the joke
Yeah.
is just Andy Warhol is gay.
Yeah, and he's
Yeah.
like, I invented pop art. Bam.
Yeah.
Like okay, like whatever.
Once again, a first draft joke.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
before that, I was happy to see Christian Slater. I was happy to see him working.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's he's there. He's the milk. He's one of the
He's one of the
milkmen.
milkmen.
James Marsden is Jack LaLanne,
Yeah.
and Jack McBrayer is Steve Schwinn.
Jack McBrayer is criminally underutilized in this
yeah,
film.
they
James
literally blow him
Marsden
up.
too.
James
I thought-
Marsden, yeah.
I watched
He
that
dances,
Amazon
you know.
show, the jury duty one, where it's like a fake jury duty for this. Only one guy doesn't know it's like a TV
Oh, yeah,
show,
yeah,
and
yeah,
they're
yeah.
all kind of pranking him. And James Marsden's on that, and he's quite like funny on
Mm-hmm.
it, So I know he's got the goods, but underutilized as well.
It's so fascinating the like disparity between James Marsden's like film work and his like TV work, because his TV work is so good, like Jury Duty, 30 Rock, so good, and then he's like in movies like Sonic and Hedgehog and
Yeah.
fucking Hop, like
Right, yeah. Poor guy.
We will get to Sonic because it's a franchise.
true.
Yeah, didn't they make two? Have they
Yeah,
made
they've-
more than one hop?
Also, they didn't do more than one hop.
I hope they do.
Hop-
That's a
Hop will
shame.
return.
Yeah.
Hop.
Yeah.
I think I saw Hop when it came out. I was probably like 12 when Hop came out.
Yeah.
Not to make everyone else, you two, feel old.
No, we
I'm
already
younger
do.
than you.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. I have coworkers who are in their like early to mid 20s, and they'll reference like Or I'll be like,
They're
this
always like
album or this
skibbity toilet.
movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're always dabbing, and I'm like, I don't understand what that is.
They're always like, "Damn, Daniel."
Yeah.
This one
They're,
8-year-old.
they're always saying YOLO swag 2012, and I'm like, I don't know what that means. I was 22 in 2012.
They're always trying to riz your gat.
Yeah.
They're always like, "Oh, damn, here comes that boy."
Yeah. They're always showing me that. They're and all of the different versions of that. There was one. now that you open that box, there was one that was. It was. Oh God! It was.
Ben, what time is it? I don't know. It's peanut butter jelly time.
Yeah.
But
I think I could show that to like one of the younger Zoomers I work with, and they would probably be like, "Okay, old man, like, you're cool. You're cool."
shouldn't you show them like doing your mom?
Yeah.
Teach them about Dad's racist.
Oh well, they. I mean, okay. I used to listen to That's Racist a lot.
To get back to the movie, we didn't really talk about the John Hamm cameo.
Oh yeah. Okay,
which is
of course.
painful
Probably the most egregious cameo, because
in cinema, maybe.
in possibly ever, because it takes two beloved characters from a beloved series that is like a serious show with like artistic value, and distorts, bastardizes them for this awful bit.
Not a good joke.
Not a good joke.
Not a good joke.
The joke
Well,
is
no
literally,
joke.
what if Pop-Tarts were marketed and sexy? That's the joke.
Yeah.
By
That's
Don
literally-
Draper.
But
By
yeah,
Don
What if
Yeah.
Pop-Tarts were like horny?
remember Mad Men? Yeah.
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 It's also like John Hamm can be very funny if used well.
Yes. In Bridesmaids, he's
Bridesmaids,
funny in
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
He's great in like Doug Loves Movies.
He's even
Yeah.
good. He's even good.
Okay, I wanted to talk to you
He's a
about
good
that, actually.
SNL host. The times he's done it, I think he was funny.
I agree. I think he's or like on or in 30 Rock and
Yeah.
whatever.
Or Bang
I
Bang.
I saw him on the street once too.
Oh, really?
Really?
He's huge. He's
Wow.
like huge. Like I know
tall?
everyone. Yeah, people talk about him having a big dick and whatever. Like,
Oh.
okay.
Is he,
No,
like,
he's
built?
huge. He's a huge guy. Yeah.
Okay.
That's terrifying.
I every TIFF, like I'll take my parents to something, and I took my grandma one year, and it's like the only movie that was like available that had like a free ticket. It was in the very back of like one of those Winter Garden theaters, some weird theater. It was the movie called The Report, which is about the torture report, the CIA. It's a very like dry movie. John Hamm is in it. Adam Driver is in it. I think it's like Scott Z. Burns, like one of the guys who collaborates with Soderbergh. Anyway, it's like very dry movie. My grandma fell asleep immediately, but then at the end of the movie, they were like, "Look who's here, John Hamm!" And everyone was like, my grandma like burst awake, like, "I know." She doesn't even watch Mad Men, but she was like, "I know that's like a famous person. Like my grandson brought me to a famous person." Like, and everyone's like clapping John Hamm, and they're like, "Oh, and here's the actual guy the movie's based on, the guy who wrote the torture report." And everyone's like, fuck off.
He never hosted SNL.
Yeah, he's no John. He is. Yeah. Anyway,
He
whatever.
never did John Hamm's John Hamm.
John Hamm's John Hamm.
One of the. I
That's
actually
funny.
really like that.
Yeah.
So like he can be used really well in like comedy.
Yes.
And Jerry just doesn't.
How tall are we talking? Like
Oh, I don't know. I mean,
12 feet?
Yeah, I think yeah.
He's got
Yeah, like 8 feet.
Also, like, okay, when we're talking like dick size, are we talking like Willem Dafoe
I think it's something like that.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
I think it's something like that where it was like, I don't know if this is like apocryphal or whatever, but that they were they'd have to like, he has like specialty made pants for him on Mad Men
like
because
Lyndon B. Johnson.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's like somebody was. I think it was one of the clerks at BMV was doing a Lyndon Johnson impression, being like, I can't. He's just Southern, right? Is that
Yeah,
what
it's
it is?
just Southern.
Yeah, he's like, gotta take that crotch out, boy. Like you gotta get it way out.
It's a classic YouTube video. The
Yeah,
Lyndon B.
yeah.
Johnson orders pants.
John Hamm is 6'1".
Okay, so
Not even that tall.
No. But you know, like,
I'm taller.
when you see them on the big screen, they're so big.
Yeah.
you know? They're so
He's
tall.
imposing.
Yeah.
Is he like? Does he have like broad shoulders? Is he like
Yeah.
a big guy? Okay.
He was just like.
He looks like he could kill you.
Yeah. Well, like we were walking and my grandma we were both looking up at him like, wow, you know? And he just had this look kind of like, please don't talk to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. Okay, one thing this is not Jerry Seinfeld related. We'll bring it back to Seinfeld. We still have some time.
Yeah.
but I've seen you post about Doug Loves Movies, Valerie.
Yes.
Not very many people I know like Doug Loves Movies
Yeah.
or listen to it. I haven't listened to it in a long time.
Same.
But when I was younger and into movies and also into weed,
Yes. Okay.
I like, for one reason or another, have consumed all of Doug Benson's media.
Of course.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, getting Doug with high
Getting
guy.
Doug
Doug
with
with High.
yeah.
Super high me.
Super high me, yeah.
I didn't know who you were talking about for a second.
Comic-Con and
Yeah.
all that shit.
Of course.
And just looking back at it, I'm kind of I don't really understand why. But Doug Loves Movies, I've been to several tapings of it.
Nice.
And but before that, one of the greatest things that's ever happened to me is on Twitter. I had an older Twitter account that I had more followers on, and that I just got self-conscious and deleted.
Yeah.
And I should never have done that, because one of the things I did was I messaged Doug Benson the jokes for that the categories.
Oh, the categories, yeah.
Yeah, for the what's the name of the game again?
Larry Mullen game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of them he read on the air, and he carried it on for 5 episodes.
Oh, holy shit.
And it was some category. The category was the name of the category was the Battle of Balls Deep, and it was movies where Lord of the Ring actors have had sex. And and I suggested, he read it, and I was like, I know you're listening, and they're like, oh my god, he read my Twitter handle. I don't know, he's probably screwed it up. But then it kept going, right? And each week it was oh wow, and then eventually he read it on a big kind of one of those bigger sort of all-star higher profile episodes. Zach Galifianakis, Pete Holmes, all these podcasting guys, and they all laughed at it. And I was oh, I fucking made it. I'm gonna move to LA. I'm gonna move in with Doug Benson.
These are gonna be my friends.
We're gonna fucking smoke weed every day.
That's live. You're gonna love movies.
I wanted to tell you that.
Hell yeah,
Yeah.
dude. That's fucking awesome.
Not very many people would A, understand, or B, agree that it was awesome.
I don't know what you guys are talking about at all. I want to be really
I don't know
clear.
Doug Loves Movies, but I did used to watch Getting Doug with High.
Hell yes.
Yep.
And I have seen Super High Me.
Nice.
I remember
There you go.
seeing that on
Yes.
Netflix in 2013 a lot.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's out there.
Maybe
yeah.
one day we should do the Doug Benson. That's the franchise,
The,
kind of.
that is the Doug Benson
Benson-verse?
franchise. Yeah.
I mean, looking back at Doug Benson, and yes, we will get back to Jerry Seinfeld. But
I mean, who
gives a shit?
who are the two kind of great comedians of our age? Doug Benson, number 1, Jerry Seinfeld, number 2. Yeah, we can all
Yes.
agree. Yeah.
But yeah, I think his skill was he is a good writer. I think he is
Yeah.
he does have skills as a writer, and he was in that Largo world. But I think he also was panel shows are good, and he did a Dick Cavett style panel show, but about movies.
Right.
And I think it worked.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and his whole I smoke weed and whatever that's for at a time when you're young smoking weed for the first time, you're cool.
And I mean, he's had 100% ownership of his art and his podcast and everything the whole time, the last 20 years.
Yeah.
So he probably is going to be able to retire pretty well.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I do remember thinking okay, there are a lot of comedians who are kind of at that level and can't really get any bigger than they already are. So you can either start a podcast and kind of stay relevant that way, or you can just hit the road touring all the time, and or maybe a bit of both. But yeah, I agree. I have fondness towards him. And it's nice to know someone else who does as well. Yeah, I think about him sometimes, and sometimes I'll even go on to Spotify or Apple or whatever, and I'm like, should I listen again? And then I say, nah,
Oh.
I could probably do something else instead. Yeah. Anyway, back to Unfrosted.
Jerry.
Have you all seen some of the positive reviews that
No.
this movie's gotten?
No, I have not at all.
Who would like this movie? I'm actually really curious. Other than Jerome Seinfeld,
So
is there positive Rotten Tomatoes reviews of this movie?
in the New York Times, Amy Nicholson.
The failing New York Times.
Amy Nicholson of The Canon and all those shows.
Yeah. Hey. Okay. Talking about another interesting podcast.
We'll get into that off mic.
Yeah.
But she says the jokes spill forth so fast that there's no time for the shtick to get soggy.
That's not
is not
true.
true.
That's not true, Amy.
And your favorite, Variety's Owen Gleiberman,
Oh, boo!
Calls
I
it
hate Owen Gleiberman.
an agreeably flaked out piece of surrealist vaudeville, and concludes Unfrosted, in its way, is a quintessential comedian's movie. It thumbs its nose at everything without necessarily believing in anything. Yet it
Okay.
has an agreeable crunch.
I love the phrase agreeable
I
being
do
used
too.
to a movie. That's like
Yeah.
that's how you describe like a shit.
Yeah.
Like that was an
That
agreeable
was an
shit.
agreeable
Yeah.
Or that
movie.
was like you go to a Tim Hortons
Yeah.
at an airport. That was an
Absolutely.
agreeable donut.
Yeah, if it doesn't like sit down like a brick, that's agreeable.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
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 No,
I'm
that's
sh-
the key word. I was thinking of that too. Like that's.
I love an agreeable offensive movie.
Well, and he says it's the movie is so agreeable that he says it twice in the little log line of his review. You know, I think if you ever make a work of art, and that's what Unfrosted is.
It's art.
And somebody describes it as agreeable, I think you should kill yourself.
Let me dig deeper because it has 42% on Rotten
I was-
Tomatoes, which seems high.
I was hoping for that we'd get an Armand White review of it.
Yeah, it's not. Is it gonna? It doesn't look like.
I was
it's gonna
looking
happen,
through
right?
the national
I checked
review
through,
as I
yeah.
do. And I didn't see-
loyal national
It's a loyal national review reader.
subscription. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going through his stuff as I sometimes do, and I was really hoping that he would be a defender of the
But
movie.
no,
Like he would maybe, because like that was his shtick originally. Was like that like Wayans Brothers movies are actually really sophisticated and like Romer or whatever.
Yeah, right.
So I was hoping that we'd get that. I'm hoping that my least favorite working film critic Kyle Smith likes
yes,
it.
that's a New York Post guy.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yes, they do very reliable, kind of like bad takes.
Kyle Smith is like wrong about I think basically everything.
Yeah, on purpose.
He's like, what if like
Right?
Armand White wasn't charming
or
like
intellectual
or like smart?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
like what if like he's just the dumbest guy who writes about movies?
yeah.
I'm glad I could get that out there that I hate Kyle Smith.
No, it's good. Well, and Kyle Smith is a listener actually.
I think like
Kyle Smith is.
he strikes me as a name
fantastic-
searcher.
Yeah.
That could not be true at all, but I think he has probably like a Google alert for like
Well-
when people say his
Well,
name.
he's also he found a way to search podcasts for any mention of his name.
Yeah.
With the MP3
Fuck you, man.
freeze.
But
Any
yeah.
other positive
Yeah, I'm
reviews you
curious.
saw, or is that pretty much it?
I mean, you
Like,
know
I-
how Rotten Tomatoes is. It's like
Right.
even their top critics is like, you write for what in the Who now?
It's like
Yeah.
Joe. This like they added like Joe's movie corner, and it was really
Yeah.
funny. Like the claim they made for that was like, "Oh, we're going to increase diversity," but instead of like just increasing diversity, they also decided to let like Doug Walker.
Yeah,
have, like,
the
a-
nostalgia critic, who Jerry probably has a lot I common with.
It's honestly a really like
R.E.
to boldly
nostalgia.
flee kind
Yeah.
of movie.
Yeah.
It reminded me a lot of Kick-Assia, if you've seen that.
I have not yet, but I do own a DVD copy of Kick-Assia signed by Doug Walker,
Hell
which I
yeah!
found at a Value Village.
But,
Similar
like-
to sign language here.
Nice.
But yeah, it's kind of like it is sort of like a Doug Walker production, and a channel like any of the Channel Awesome movies. This is
Yeah.
like Zoomer deep cut material, but like all of the Channel Awesome movies are entirely structured around people cameoing in it,
Right.
Where it's like that's Film Brain, that's fucking the Nostalgia Chick, that's whatever, and you're like watching it, and that's how I felt watching this. I was just like
Yeah.
being beaten to submission.
It was interesting seeing in the scene of Snap, Crackle, and Pop. It's Kyle Mooney and Mikey Day from
Heartbreaking to see Kyle Mooney like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Drew
for sure.
Tarver, right?
And Drew Tarver.
Yeah.
It was interesting seeing him in that trio.
Kyle Mooney is
Yeah.
criminally underutilized in everything.
It's
Yeah,
brutal. He was so funny on the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was so good on
Good
SNL.
neighbor. Yeah.
They what do they do in the funeral? Oh yeah, they fold the flag. But what's the flag? What
It's
is it
just
again?
like a Kellogg's poster or
And
something.
Wasn't it like a
Isn't it-
temporary tattoo? There was line
Was
about it
that
being like a
it?
temporary
Oh,
tattoo.
it was the prize. It was the prize.
prize,
It's
yeah.
Jack in the Box. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Snap,
It's like-
Crackle, and Pop. More like suck, fizzle, and poo.
Yeah, you tell him. Yeah. Hey, you know what? That's a good joke. We
Yeah,
should,
that's
write-
better than
yeah.
anything in the movie.
Yeah.
We should make a movie called Untoasted, and it's about toaster strudel, the invention of toaster,
Which is a better
strudel.
treat.
Which but you
Much
do
better.
much
better.
better.
100%
And
Oh,
also,
yeah. Yeah.
in of it's the one joke in Mean Girls about toaster strudel is funnier than anything in this movie.
I don't
What
remember
was the joke?
what
There's
is
a joke where Gretchen's dad in Mean Girls was the inventor of toaster
Oh,
strudels.
yeah, okay.
I haven't seen that movie in a while, but like that joke is funnier than anything in this movie.
We
Yeah.
could do it on the pod because now there's two.
Oh yeah, and there's the fucking musical they did, which is
musical.
awful. Apparently,
That's right. I mean, we're gonna do every franchise eventually.
Eventually, yeah.
And
I
as
mean-
we've established now, movies that aren't franchises.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
movies that movies
Yeah.
like I think Jerry Seinfeld is a franchise though.
Yeah, I agree. I
Yeah.
agree.
Like
Well, being a comedian is a business. Every comedian's a small businessman, kinda.
yeah,
This is
yeah.
true.
Well, and it definitely when you approach it the way that Seinfeld does, which is like seems like almost like an anti-art approach.
Yes.
To like creating a verbal art,
Yes.
right? Like, just like he clocks in at the like wordsmith factory,
Yes.
you know, and comes up with like, what's the deal with lawyers?
Yeah.
And then like, you know, goes to bed, wakes up the next day, and
Does
he's,
TM.
Does TM.
Just him and it's like
He's right back on
carrots.
it.
What the hell?
Yeah, yeah.
It's really-
yeah.
yeah.
David Lynch will go into a transcendental state, and you know he's like, "I gotta catch the big fish," you know. And
Have you read that book?
I have read the.
It's awful.
It's not. It's
have you read the terrible David Lynch autobiography?
Oh no.
It's really bad.
Oh, like what's
The
it called?
Room to Dream.
Oh.
It's
I don't
not
know.
good. It's
And-
mostly about TM.
Yeah, when he talks about that stuff, sometimes I'll find it like inspirational. Other times I'm like, I don't need to know this
And then
about you.
you hear like David Lynch say
Yeah.
that like we would solve inner city violence if kids did TM.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of like, that's obviously not true.
Yeah, yeah. If and we at the franchisees agree, you know, you should not, you know, you should kill your darlings, right? Like we especially on those like bonus episodes where we're like ranking all the Martin Scorsese movies, and the whole time it's just
really?
me being like,
Yeah.
he's so great, he's so great.
Kill your darlings, my ass.
Well, no, I'm just saying, you know, we should be doing that. We should strive to do that. So here I am saying, we love David Lynch, obviously.
Yeah.
But when he talks about transcendental meditation,
He's insufferable.
Like, take
Jerry
a
is
hike,
worse
you know,
when he talks about it.
fucking
Jerry
hippie,
talks
you know?
also. Jerry talks about how he took a Scientology course in the 80s.
Yeah.
And it's another key part of the Seinfeld lore. And when he's asked about it, he was like, "Did you think it was good? Do you think you got something out of it?" And he said, "It taught me to be a moral person." He said something like that.
I was reading about that,
and it's like, what?
Yeah.
yeah.
He also, in the Mark Maron interview, another key thing I think is he said at one part that because Mark Maron is the anti-Jerry Seinfeld, he's very much about feelings and being himself and
Right.
everything. And he's like, "Why are you funny?" And Jerry's like, "Though I reject that premise. The why doesn't matter. You're just funny."
Funny is funny. That's
Yeah.
like the standard. Like he says that a lot during Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. Like people, like he'll talk about people, and he'll say like Bobcat Goldthwait is a failure because funny is funny, and he's not funny. That's
Right.
his.
He's just weird.
That's his
Yeah.
stance.
He just had a voice.
Yeah.
Infinitely better filmmaker.
Yes.
Bobcat
Oh
Goldthwait.
yeah.
Yes.
Very much so. Yeah.
Yeah, but like that is kind of Jerry's approach. Is like the sort of like mystical almost attitude about funny,
Right.
where it's like funny like is just natural. It doesn't need to be analyzed. It doesn't need to be thought about.
Yeah.
It just emerges from the ether. And
And he is-
Unfrosted
he is-
emerged from
Yes.
the ether.
Yeah. And he is the judge, you know.
Yes.
He will tell you what is funny.
Yes.
And
he has said there's probably like only 50 funny comedians in America.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, sure, that must be true.
One
I
of them
would
is
say
not
actually
Jerry
there's less.
Seinfeld.
Yeah. There's actually zero.
There are
Yeah.
fewer, and he is not one of them.
Yeah.
One of the Seinfeld ephemera clips I watch probably the most. You know, we talked a little bit about Talking Funny, with that very weird kind of hour-long conversation with him and Ricky Gervais and Louis and Chris Rock, and how Jerry comes off kind of the best.
Yeah.
Just because he's like not like gross on it.
He does not say a racial slur.
He doesn't say a racial slur. You know, he's also just like, he kind of is like the elder statesman a little bit in that whole thing, and he comes off okay. But my favorite talk show clip from him, or from maybe anybody ever, is like after the Michael Richards racism incident, right? A clip you can watch, but I would suggest you don't. Because,
Why are you laughing?
Yeah. Okay, that clip that's what.
Oh,
I'm
you're talking about a different clip?
No. I just mean, you know, if for some reason you haven't seen all this stuff, you don't need to see Michael Richards flipping out and being racist at the Laugh Factory. It's like, it's vile. It's really awful.
Yeah.
You know, you can watch it. You can probably handle it, but you don't have to watch it.
Yeah.
What you should watch, what should be taught in the schools, is when Jerry Seinfeld's on David Letterman shortly after the incident, and he brings on Michael Richards on
video,
and Michael Richards gives a very awkward apology that seems somewhat genuine, but is also like really clunky, and like he uses some of the wrong like he's trying to say African American, but he says Afro American, and people start laughing, right?
Yeah.
People are like, "Is this some sort of weird bit?" And Jerry says, "It's not funny. It's not funny."
But they don't cut to
it's not
Jerry.
funny.
They're
Yeah.
just holding on Michael. Is his name Michael Richards?
Terrifying image.
It's not funny.
Yeah, and then just in the background you hear, "It's not funny."
Yeah, why are you
Why are you
laughing?
laughing?
It's not funny. And you know, if he
That's
is
actually surrealist, unlike anything in
and it's actually funny.
the
It's
Bob Turner
very,
movie.
very
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
And when he gets to go on podcasts and be like, I know there's funny and there's not funny, and then you have a clip of him saying it's not funny, but it is funny. You know,
I want to.
come on, my brain is fried right now.
I want to
Voiced by Jean
indulge.
Petard.
I want to indulge a conspiracy theory if I
Okay,
can
great.
for a
Well,
minute.
No, that's exactly.
So,
and
I-
if you have a threat as well in there, that's what
So
the show is all
my
about.
conspiracy
butter.
theory.
Someone was saying we don't do enough threats anymore.
Yeah,
Right.
we'll get you, Michael Richards.
Yeah.
But my theory basically is that the anti-woke stuff was a Netflix exec telling him, you have to promote this movie sucks, it's terrible. And was saying, like, or they goaded him into it. I don't think because Jerry's a billionaire, he doesn't have to do anything. So I think a Netflix exec slowly got him onto the train of thinking about wokeness and comedy.
I mean-
as like someone was like goading him into talking about it because they're like, this movie sucks. We don't want you talking about the movie because like talking about like the Walter Cronkite joke
Yeah.
in the movie or whatever.
True.
So like we need you to like say something funny or when you say something that gets attention. I'm actually really shocked this movie didn't play in any theaters at all here because even like
No.
Tiff played like fucking Blonde and
Yeah,
stuff
they,
like
they
that.
get deals with Netflix.
They
Yeah.
make deals with Netflix, so I was really shocked. That was a sign the movie is really bad that it didn't even get
Yeah.
like a couple of days at TIFF. But like I have a feeling.
Can you imagine going to the
I
to,
would.
like, the most pristine kind of like
yes.
fancy looking theater we have at big
2 tickets to Unfrosted,
Yeah,
please.
No,
yeah.
but like watching it with a crowd, I think I would kill myself.
Oh yeah,
Well, here's
yeah,
the
yeah,
thing,
yeah.
it would not be a crowd. It would be like us four, and
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
would.
Oh, Alex. Oh, Gwen. Oh, Valerie. Hey. I'm
Yeah,
good.
we would
You're here
exclusively
because we're
be
doing the
people
podcast.
As,
Yeah.
People as fucked up as us.
Yeah. Yes.
But like my conspiracy theory, basically, yeah, like the Netflix exec was like, this movie sucks. There's no way anyone's gonna watch this on its merits, other than hey, it's Jerry Seinfeld. So we need you to like drum up some press and saying like
it's interesting,
comedy
man.
is too woke now. Because that doesn't.
I don't
like,
know.
nothing from
I
the-
know it. Yeah. Sorry.
Nothing from the movie like emerges that would cause you, other than the one like hobo joke. Nothing else in the movie would make me go, "You couldn't do that.
Right.
You can't do that now or whatever."
I personally feel like it's just like from like whatever group chat, but it might also like I do think that Netflix must like the way that Ted Sarandos is obsessed with people like Dave Chappelle and all these like offensive comedians. I do feel like
Yeah.
their group texts, their private group texts, must be bad.
Yeah.
I feel like they must be bad.
Release those texts. I would
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
to read them as a book.
No,
Yes.
I think that's an interesting conspiracy theory, Gwen. But I do think that Jerry probably does believe that.
I
to
do
some
think he
extent.
believes it, but I think
But
he was
I-
goaded. I think it's like
But I think he's talked about it before because
yes.
there was. I remember.
yes, a couple years ago.
And he's
Yeah,
like into Barry Weiss, and he's into
Yeah,
like
yeah.
And he was talking about
like,
how he
like-
wasn't going to play colleges because
Yeah,
they're too
exactly.
sensitive.
So there's a
but
bit of
I don't
precedent for that,
think
right?
it emerged. But I think it's more like the people who think that Lee Harvey Oswald was goaded by the CIA than the people who thought he was brain controlled. If I can
okay.
make this distinction, so if we can,
But we now know the milkman.
yeah, true.
Yeah.
But like, I think like that would be where I'm at, where it's like he was primed already for this, but the Netflix people were like,
Yeah.
Jesus, this movie is not good.
Yeah.
So we need
Well,
like.
I mean, and
possible.
if that is the case, they were correct because that was a whole
It's-
news
Yeah.
cycle.
How
right?
does this movie have a
Yeah.
40 on Rotten Tomatoes? It
Yeah.
should not be that high.
Yeah.
I think like when you look at professional critics who like actually that's their job. We've talked about this a little bit before, like Owen
us.
Gleiberman's. Yeah, like us eventually. You know, I think there are a lot of boomer age critics who would see it and are like, aha. Agreeable,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and when what that really means is this is this is a piece of dog shit.
Yeah.
But like everything is so like bland and smoothed out for
Yeah.
them already that it's just like it's just another.
It's like
thing
how they
I
review
saw.
Marvel movies, where it's like, yeah,
It's just another,
I feel like also like it depends. I think the age thing might possibly be something because like when like Dana Carvey's talking about with Jerry, he's like, oh, it's just like when we were kids in the 50s and 60s. It's so cute. And I wish we could go back there. I think there's part of that too.
Yeah, like, there's a
where it's
lot
just
of-
like a very nostalgia trap kind of thing.
A lot of
to
like
it.
Yeah,
cuts
yeah.
for,
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
But I do think that just Jerry must hang out with like, because he hangs with like Chris Rock and Colin Quinn and like a bunch of those like comedy seller guys where it's just
Yeah.
like who do lots of more like vulgar stuff and more offensive stuff. They're like he just listens to them and just repeats what they say. It's just like, oh, can't do anything because of wokes.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
of Wokes. Wokes as like a group of people.
Yes.
Well,
The
yeah.
Wokes.
So I have actually seen Jerry Seinfeld do comedy before.
Really?
Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
Was it good?
I remember having a good time.
Okay.
I went to
That doesn't shock me.
Kingston to visit my brother. He had plans with his friend and his friend's parents or whatever. Jerry Seinfeld was in town. I went with them to the like K-Rock Center, and
So you clearly didn't meet any women in Kingston, because then you would have left with them instead of going to the.
Yep. Nope. And I actually scalped a ticket from a guy. Face value, it's probably, I think it was like probably $75. And the guy was like, here, and he was like trying to be like, I'm not a scalper. So like, here's,
all do it, yeah.
here's my ticket and I'll see you in there because we're right next to each other. So my wife couldn't come or whatever. So I showed up and I was like, what a nice guy, and I had 2 beers and I was like, I'll give him one of the beers, and he never shows up. So I got pretty drunk, these
Off
big
2
stadium,
beers.
well, big stadium beers,
Yeah.
I had probably been drinking all day.
Also, it's like sometimes you just aren't eating food.
I probably
Well,
wasn't eating.
that's what caused this episode, I should say, is me being drunk off 2 vodka sodas.
Yeah, sometimes it
Well,
happens,
I
right?
hadn't eaten anything. and
Only
I,
2 vodka sodas.
and
It happens.
I was white woman drunk, as it was described by other people.
It's a phenomenon. It's a real thing.
That's true.
That's true.
What was I gonna say? What year did you see Jerry live? When was this?
I'm trying to think about this. So it would have been like maybe like 2014 or
Okay.
2015 maybe.
Okay.
I remember thinking I was really far away. I remember thinking it was funny. The only bit I remember is because it came up in one of the specials, and then was one of the things that he was like, they're trying to cancel me, was when he was talking about scrolling through scrolling through
Yeah.
the news like a gay French king.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
He does the big like kind of thing, and I think people laughed, whatever. And then I remember that was one of the jokes where it was like maybe somebody criticized him,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden he's like, like,
But it's just
I'm
really,
never performing at college again.
it's just a really lame joke too.
Well,
Like
it's just
it's not like bad. It's not like that noxious or anything. Jerry's done jokes that I think are probably far more offensive than that. Even.
Oh, surely some of the stuff, some of the like gender essentialists, men are
Yeah.
from
Or
women,
like the
men
stuff.
are from, men are from
There's a
cars, are
Seinfeld
from
monologue
whatever
where he talks
bullshit.
about suicide, which is
Yeah.
drilled in my memory. Where he's like, "Why do people fail at killing themselves?" And it's like,
They must feel like really losers after that.
and it's like someone who's like never. It feels like someone who's like never processed a sad thought properly.
Well, I think I think that he's only now dealing with some of his bad feelings because he's like in his 60s or whatever, and
He's 70
can't-
right now.
he's 70, just turned 70, and he can't like stuff them down with like Superman and Pop-Tarts and stuff anymore. At some point you like have to,
That's what I was hoping for. This
You
movie.
look in the mirror,
Was there
you
be
know?
like a psychic break at some point?
yeah.
There's something would be revealed, and nothing was revealed.
I think that's kind of the best you can hope for with any vanity project.
Yes.
Is that there will be some glimpse in the mirror, and there's nothing. And is that he is just like not willing to share any parts of himself, or is it that there's nothing there? Maybe a little bit of both.
That's a good question.
I think like I would pay to watch a making of documentary about
Yeah.
this movie. Like I would pay $20. Or I'd pay $100.
Would you pay $100?
I would pay $100 just to get like uncut footage of what it was like on set.
That would be
Yeah.
interesting, especially after they're done filming these lifeless comedy scenes and they're like, okay, now dance.
yeah.
Like that feels almost like that. Like I think it would be like the burden of dreams.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I was gonna say, yeah. If you had like a Les Blanc or like a Werner Herzog or someone,
Or like the
do it
like
behind
Hearts
the
of
scenes,
Darkness
yeah,
kind of deal.
How they dance.
if Jessica Seinfeld did an Eleanor Coppola, rest in peace style,
Yeah, R.I.P.
style Hearts of Darkness, and it's just Jerry sitting there with the shirt off, like looking like he's about to have a heart attack, and he's like,
Jerry's trying to
I
like
didn't,
kill Jim Gaffigan.
yeah. He's like, I'm not making a movie about the 1960s. This is the 1960s.
Oh.
You know?
Oh, I just remembered my least favorite joke in the movie.
Okay.
I just
okay.
remembered it. It's a joke in like the coda part, the aftermath part, where like Melissa McCarthy drives into like the Kellogg's parking lot, and she's in a VW Bug and sees Jim Gaffigan, and Jim Gaffigan's like, "That's an ugly car," and she's like, "It's the way of the future, man," and then like throws granola at him and is like, "I invented it. It's called granola."
Oh, right, yeah. And she throws one right in his mouth.
Although once again, the
Right.
like accidental
Right.
prescience is like she's a hippie now. It's
Yeah.
it's a bit like the kind of like Forrest Gump kind of thing. Also,
Yeah.
where
Yes.
it's like you're just like people are like tripping over their dicks into history constantly.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's the most grating thing to watch.
Oh,
probably.
you were so annoyed
Yeah.
about the microwave thing because it was.
Oh yeah,
like,
I said the microwave
inaccurate.
thing was annoying because I thought microwaves were mass produced before the 1963. I
Oh,
could be wrong about
I
that.
don't
I think
know.
it was in the 50s, so I was like, I could be wrong about this.
Yeah.
But I was like, I think microwaves were mass produced before 1963, and they were invented by GE, not NASA, I believe.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
So, something
Yeah.
like that.
You're on notice, Seinfeld.
Yeah.
You're on notice for like not knowing that like GE came up with the microwave.
There was one other line I forgot about.
I know what it is.
Do you?
It's the kid in
It's
the
the
dumpster.
kid. Yeah, the kid's
Oh,
in the
that
dumpster.
scene.
Yeah. What does she say?
The,
She's
the little girl is funny, right? They
she
give her
has
some
one.
funny-
She had one line that made me laugh.
Yeah, and he's saying something like, why are you eating that? It's garbage."
Yeah.
And she says, "Is it, or is it some hot fruit lightning the man don't want you to have?" You know, and
Yeah.
it's another just like
Fruit
what-
lightning.
You know, what if we got a little kid to say something like,
But what
wacky
if
or
what if
like-
kids were smart? Because that's
Yeah.
kind of their joke. Is like, what if these kids were like really articulate?
Yeah, right. I
Hot
don't
fruit
know.
lightning just made me laugh. Like
Yeah.
to describe like jam on a piece of discarded bread she was eating as
Yeah.
hot fruit lightning. Those
The man don't want.
man.
Well, it's
Yeah.
it's similar to
And
to
B-movie.
the B movie joke, making honey for the white man, which is
It's
a
way
joke that
funnier.
I it's just weird. It's a weird. Like, because Jerry doesn't do a lot of like racial humor, I guess.
Yeah.
That one.
He's more into like men and women, not
yeah,
really.
yeah. There's one other clip I remember. The friend of the show, Jordan, reminded me of this clip some time ago, where it was Jerry Seinfeld. I don't remember if he's on a talk show,
It's Steve Harvey's chat show.
but he says something like, he's like, "I like black people. They're funny." It's just a Jerry voice I have in my head.
That's
Yeah, they're funny. They're funny.
I remember.
Don't laugh. It's not funny. Sorry.
I remember in the Steve Harvey Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee
No,
episode.
yeah.
the worst one, I think.
my
Yeah,
God.
there was a point in like it where he was like, you know, the first semester of college, I had a black roommate.
That's just period or
There's more to that, but I forget it. But it was just such a like, well, I understand you, Steve.
That
Yeah,
was
yeah,
wildly
yeah.
uncomfortable
Yeah.
because he's just like constantly looking to Steve Harvey, being like, "You agree with me, right?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he just wants Steve Harvey to like be the black guy that affirms everything he's saying about black people.
Right.
Yeah.
And Steve Harvey is affirming all of it
Yeah.
very enthusiastically.
Right.
Oh, this is the one part I remember where it was like, yeah, there were so many people in our day who like were really funny, but they smoked way too much pot and didn't get anywhere. And then Steve Harvey, this is actually a really funny line. He said, "Every guy I know who smokes pot is broke."
Oh, okay. Where is Steve Harvey's like I've made millions of dollars doing game shows for years. I'm gonna funnel it into my creative unfrosted project. I would
that.
definitely, yeah, and that would go to theaters. That
Yes.
would be a real movie you'd pay a ticket
Oh,
to go see,
100%.
not just steal like I did.
Well, he wouldn't direct it himself. He would. That reminds me. It was very funny. I got to Ben's place, and he's like, "I like to keep a lean Plex." You know, the server. He's like, "I only have like one
Yeah.
movie at a time," and he opens his Plex, and there were two movies. And it was just B movie and Unfrosted.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is the Plex of a deranged man.
Yeah. I tweeted it. It was.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Sometimes
Good.
I'll test out a joke on Alex, and if it
Yeah.
flies,
I've done
I'll
that.
tweet it.
We've all
Yeah.
done that here.
Of course.
We've all,
Yeah,
like-
Yeah.
Sent things to our friends that we've screenshot or like drafts and gone, "Is this funny?"
Yeah. Of course.
There's a whole lot that I'm sitting on that I like send to people, and I'm like, "Is this offensive? Will people be mad at me?"
That's Jerry Seinfeld just sending unfrosted
Yeah.
jokes. Like, is this funny? Is
Yeah.
this funny?
Yeah.
All right, let's rate this puppy.
Yeah.
Let's do like the Ebert and Roper thumbs, but with Pop-Tarts.
Okay.
So I'm giving it
Because there's two
two
in the
Pop-Tarts down.
Yeah. So they stay down in the
Okay.
toaster
Yeah,
and
they
they're on
burn.
fire.
Yeah.
They burn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I will similarly be giving it two Pop-Tarts down, stuck in the toaster, and you try to retrieve it,
Ooh, with a
but the
fork?
toaster's still plugged in.
Oh, like Max Greenfield does in the movie?
He does it in the movie, but instead of him just getting a little shock, you actually get electrocuted and you die.
He dies.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it 2 chocolate Pop-Tarts because it's the worst flavor of Pop-Tart.
Yep, I agree.
2, yeah.
The cookies and cream are different.
The chocolate is
The
terrible.
chocolate is bad.
It's so bad. I hate
Tastes
Noted.
it.
like doo-doo.
I'm gonna give it because the cookies and cream ones were ones that I was given as a youth and like destroyed me and made me who I am now. It's just someone who's watching Pop-Tarts movie for Pop.
My life.
I'm going back in time to that year. I'm putting those down, and they're stuck in there, and we have to throw away the toaster because it destroys the toaster.
Yes.
And then the toaster's going away, and I'm fixed.
And you're not here.
And I'm not here.
It's like the Twin Peaks: The Return stuff with trying to like time travel into.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Or The Simpsons.
We've all seen.
Valerie hasn't
I've
seen The
not.
Return.
Oh, sorry.
So it's just like there's time travel involved in Twin Peaks:
sorry.
Return. That's all.
The one case where you actually have someone who didn't watch The Return.
I'm so sorry.
We were gonna
Yeah.
watch it, Valerie and I, and then
It's a long story. We don't need to get into it.
basically our the portable DVD player that because she was streaming it to me when I was
Oh yeah.
in London, Ontario.
Yeah.
And the portable DVD player broke, so she was streaming it to me, and we then just gave up.
Yeah. Yeah. One day you will watch it because it's.
It's
great.
very good.
It is very good.
I saw it all
One
when it
day.
came out, and it was much better than the Pop-Tart movie.
Yeah, I agree.
The greatest film produced through transcendental meditation, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the worst.
Yeah, I think. Well, the worst is maybe whatever Russell Brand does, right?
Oh yeah.
Gotta
I mean,
remember
Hop-
that because
Did he do TM on Hot? When did he become a TM guy? Was he always that, or was it like?
I don't remember because just one of the many upsetting David Lynch pictures of David Lynch with Russell Brand sitting in a yoga pose. You know,
That's awful.
I don't remember. Anyway, okay, bad movie. Never again. I never will watch it ever again.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
I've already forgotten it.
I've completely forgotten most of it.
What if they make an Unfrosted too?
I
What
just
would it
can't
be?
see it happening. Yeah.
Another product, maybe.
What was the other like cereal products that emerged after?
What's a Jerry product he really likes? Like I did watch that video where he's like, oh, he's like, I carry a Swiss Army knife around everywhere. Because someone just whatever like a aesthetics blogger was like, look at the simple Swiss simplicity of this knife, and like you'll never be without a bottle opener or this or that, and so he carries one around, which is just like I don't know, because one of these days he will take the knife part out and he will stab somebody. He will get his rage out like on the subway or something.
You
He'll
woke
kill-
bastard!
Yeah,
Jerry does
yeah.
not take the subway. Let's be
No,
real.
okay, you know what I
He will be in downtown New York.
Yeah.
It will not be.
What was I gonna say? I don't think I see another movie from him because he just like it seems like he just did this because of COVID. He was like, well, I have to write something, and it was a screenplay. So now he's just going to do the same like 60 minutes he's done since 1976.
Yeah.
until he's like in the ground.
Until another like world-shaking illness occurs.
And I'm going to put this out here to looking into the future. I think I foresee for Jerry a relatively young death. I just there's just something about him that to me is like he's got max like 5 years.
His days are numbered.
He will not. Say 75 max.
He's
if
going to be
just turned 70.
zipping down the Autobahn in a fancy car with a bowl of cereal.
one of his Porsche. Yeah,
You know,
While
just
drinking
like-
a coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's super into coffee now too.
Well, I mean, like it almost got Jay Leno, but Jay Leno had
Jay
like,
Leno's tough.
Jay
Yeah.
Leno had the physical toughness to survive getting lit on fire. I don't think Jerry has
Jay
that.
Leno also has like a guardian angel too.
Yeah.
Jerry Seinfeld. No.
Jay Leno has a guardian angel. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's called the news.
Yeah.
So funny headlines. They're protecting you.
The opposite of a guardian angel is having like a Tony Todd-esque force like in Final Destination constantly stalking you and trying to kill you in like Rube Goldberg contraptions.
Yeah, yeah. His kind of eternal Newman that's just sort of around him. Yeah.
Jerry.
Well, Valerie and Gwen, thank you very much
Yeah,
for
thank
coming
you.
on.
It's
Thank you for
great. So
much.
suggesting this
I'm
idea.
so sorry.
No, I
it's-
ended up.
It's good because like what are we do? We're doing the Mad Max movies right now.
Yep.
Those are good movies. though.
They're good movies. It's fun to talk about good movies.
Is there a
Yeah.
bad Mad Max movie?
So
I would say no.
no. I agree. I watched Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome right after Unfrosted because we have to record tomorrow and I don't have enough time tonight.
Long Weekend of Ben.
Yeah, it's I don't really like it that much.
It's got Tina Turner in it.
But
How can it be?
it's way better than Unfrosted.
Yeah.
It like just watching something like that next to Unfrosted, it's like a 5-star, like 20-star masterpiece. You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
Is Zach gonna also watch Beyond Unfrosted before Beyond Thunderdome so that he has like a sense of like the barometer that we're on?
I should have told him. Actually, it's not too late. I should message him and say, drop whatever you're doing. Like, I don't care if you're like with your girlfriend. Like,
No, but if
watch
he's with his
Unfrosted.
girlfriend, it's going to stop him because men will always pursue a woman before.
That's so true. Yeah. Jerry Seinfeld said that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Jerry Seinfeld is right about gender.
Actually, after we watched it, I walked my keister over to The Paradise and I saw Polyester by John Waters for the first time.
That's a good movie.
Great,
And that was an amazing palate cleanser.
Yeah.
For Unfrosted.
What are we going to do, Valerie?
I don't know.
Do you have a...
Yeah, because you both watched it today.
Yeah, we watched
Like,
it today.
right
Yeah.
before we got here.
I was
Holy
like,
shit.
I was
Yeah.
really
By the way.
depressed while watching it.
Yeah.
I like left till I had to leave the room for a little while. I
paused the movie.
I watched all of it. I yelled. There was a couple times where I was
See my
just
tubs.
I was having such a bad time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
You
think
gotta
we're gonna
decompress.
yeah, we made vegan hot dogs. They're pretty good.
Right
Nice.
And then we're gonna have to like. We're
I'm
gonna
sorry,
get pizza tonight. I think tonight's like you gotta like
We'll
eat
figure
something
it
really good.
Yeah.
What do you say? I'm sorry. You said something a second ago and I missed it.
on. No, I think I was just like, you guys need to decompress.
Yeah.
But vegan glizzies sound good.
Yeah,
As you
definitely.
Zoomers
Yeah.
would say.
Yeah, if you do watch a film or whatever tonight, just make sure it's better than Unfrosted.
Yeah.
That
That
will not
It's-
be hard.
It's pretty
Yes.
easy. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say almost any movie. If you go into BMV and just look at like a wall of movies, almost any of those movies would be better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I really, like you were saying off the top, Gwen, I really didn't want it to be like this. I wanted to like
to
the
love
movie. I would have loved to have been contrarian and been like,
I want to
"It's
love
good."
Jerry.
Yeah.
Jerry, and this is how we can.
We're the
end.
fans. We're the fans. We
Yeah.
like Jerry.
He has meant a lot to me growing up through Seinfeld, which is a connection to my grandpa who I loved and my grandma who loved Seinfeld too, and my parents. Our whole family loved it, and it's a very influential on my sense of humor. And I wish that one of the two main creative forces behind it was like someone I could enjoy the products of instead of this fucking Pop-Tart boomer
Yeah.
piece of shit,
Yes.
and him fucking going to Israel fucking off
Yes.
for a
Oh my
fucking
God.
Yeah.
like diplomatic.
Well, he called
implication,
a couple years ago when there was the TIFF thing where like John Grayson was organizing
Yeah.
a boycott of TIFF. He called John Grayson an anti-Semite,
Yes, yeah,
which is
I remember
very
that.
funny. I would
Yeah.
much rather interact with John Grayson than Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Me too. John Grayson, who thinks I'm a great actor.
Really?
Nice.
Yeah, John
Really?
Grayson is my friend Devin's. so embarrassing.
You bring it up every
I agree,
episode
yeah,
these days.
I was in a room with
Ben's
John
in a
Grayson
movie.
once.
Did you know this?
Yeah,
Ben's
I
in a
do know. I
movie?
saw
I'm
it.
in
It
a
looks
movie.
really good.
Yeah.
I saw the trailer.
We'll see.
But
I
yeah,
don't know.
I was in a room with John Grayson once
Yeah.
when we saw Buddies. It was
Yeah,
about
I,
a year ago.
I was there too.
I was
That's-
sneezing.
We saw
I was
each other
sneezing.
After,
Oh,
I think.
we
Yeah,
did,
yeah.
yeah.
I
pretty
was
sure.
I was
Yeah.
sneezing constantly during it. If you remember that.
I don't.
There-
I was so wrapped up in the buddies.
Do you remember that lady that was really laughing like
Yeah.
constantly in the movie? That
Yeah.
was so strange.
And that was with Austin as well. And that was one of the movies where Austin's like "Oh, I have another movie. I have to go." And he
That movie's so good. I
left in the
cried.
last 10 minutes. It's like, Austin, you can't just leave. This guy's dying here, man.
Yeah.
Austin goes too far.
I've noticed that
Great
a lot.
movie.
If I can end on something totally unrelated,
Yeah,
is
we should.
whenever there's gay sex in a film, when I see that in the theatrical audience, people are always really weird about it.
Right.
Valerie and I saw Driveway Dolls, which I
Oh,
loved.
yeah.
I loved it.
Same, really.
I'm really glad.
Yeah.
Some people don't deserve the funny Coen Brothers movies. That's what we're learning
It's
from all that.
funny.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so good.
Sorry, no,
We-
I know. It's funny. It's funny. I love Driveway Dolls.
We
They're
love
funny.
the lesbian soccer orgy.
I love lesbians. They're funny.
But there was a scene where they have shower sex in the movie.
Can I tell it?
Yeah, you can tell it.
Yeah. This movie's kind of hot. Right?
So yeah,
It's-
there was shower sex, and they brought out the dildo
Yeah,
that was
yeah, yeah,
big
yeah.
in the movie.
Yeah.
And this girl that was right behind us in the movie theater said, "Gross."
Well,
yeah.
It's like shower sex.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Come
Tame.
on. Yeah,
That's pretty tame.
That movie is like sexy and obviously
Yeah, it's really hot. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's also very PG. There's no nudity. There's no whatever humping really. I mean, there's the Margot Qualley in the bed just fucking going at it.
Yeah.
That's so fucking
Yeah.
funny.
Very good.
It's a good
I'm really
movie.
glad. I'm really glad that some men understand it.
Well,
I'm just gonna say that.
I mean, I am a great man.
You're an ally.
I'm an ally.
You're
and
an
a
ally.
great- and a great man.
'cause
Lesbians are funny.
Almost every man I've talked to about the movie has said it's bad.
I know. I will collect a few more men to
Okay.
stand for Driveway Dolls. Yeah,
Oh.
and we will all be getting the Ally Award.
Before we go, Alex, I just want to say, what is your thought on Jerry Seinfeld now after everything? After just recording the actors, the movie, everything.
Yeah, are you more or less likely to throw on Seinfeld?
Honestly, same amount of likely. As in, I probably won't. I
Right.
won't seek it out. If it were ever on, if I was in a situation where there's cable and it was on, or someone was watching it, I'd gladly tune in for an episode or two. Fuck Jerry.
Yeah.
I don't have
Yeah.
much to say. This was.
You're saying you are a pro fuck Jerry, the meme
the
retweeter.
meme retweeter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which endorsed Mike Bloomberg, which I think Jerry might have also endorsed Mike Bloomberg.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like it makes sense. Yeah.
This is a front runner for the worst, at least, comedy of the year, which is special, and I am glad I saw it in the end.
I haven't seen a lot of bad movies this year. I've been too busy.
Yeah.
What
Ricky
do
Stenicki.
I need to catch up on to have a reference point to where to rank this?
Ricky Stenicki is pretty miserable.
I haven't watched a lot of bad movies from 2024, but I was trying to think what is the worst movie I've seen before Unfrosted that's kind of in the same vein, and it definitely, the thing it reminds me the most of is the Judd Apatow movie The Bubble, which is
Also
terrible.
a COVID movie. Also a
COVID movie. A lot of similarities to Unfrosted, actually. I don't know. I mean, I just said that. I'm not really sure if that's true, but it's
celeb cameo up the ass.
yeah, celeb cameos and incredibly unfunny. First draft, every joke, no observations, nothing to say.
Oh, I remember
No,
when we were all locked in
you know
the-
what I mean? No joy, no irony, nothing. There's nothing.
I have a question now.
Okay. Last question. though.
Last
Last
question.
I have to go to bed.
No, I understand. I understand.
I have to go to bed now.
Does
this
Not
is
Up
my
and
fault.
This Is 40 count as a franchise?
Oh,
Yes, 100%. And
yes.
we're doing it. We're going to do every franchise.
We're doing every franchise. Yeah.
So rest assured.
Yeah, similar to Jerry with Scientology, it's a 5,000 year contract
Yeah.
that Alex and I are in.
We're
Yes.
locked into it.
Yeah. But this will probably be coming out after Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, but before Mad Max Fury Road.
Yep.
And, we will be doing more bonus episodes in the future. So, and let this be a warning, or maybe the opposite of a warning, an invitation to all listeners. If you have an idea and you want to pitch it to us, all you have to do
You got to get drunk
Yeah.
and then message Ben.
yeah, just message me. Message me on the Instagram or Twitter, and I'll probably say yes. Really?
Okay.
Said yes.
That's what I've learned is that you're actually really easy to convince to do things.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well,
I
not
just like
anymore.
immediately.
Now we're seeing the darkness of Gwen a little bit.
Yeah, my like Machiavellian streak.
Yeah, great. Well, now I feel taken advantage of. Thanks a lot.
Goodbye.
You can follow Gwen on Twitter at VioletGwenny, GWENY, and on Letterboxd at CinemaGwen. You can follow Valerie on Twitter at StealingValerie, and on Letterboxd at Valerie Keaton. She also has a Substack at Valerie Keaton. Thank you for listening to our special Unfrosted bonus episode. Join us on Sunday, or more likely Monday, for Mad Max: Fury Road.
And stop laughing. It's not funny.